Talking about black people today, I used to own a car, and I really liked my car. You know, as a man, you don't get a lot of things. Your home is mostly decorated by your wife. Your kids ruin the clothes that you own. But you do get one thing in life as a man that you pay for, and that's your car. You can put a picture up of it. I don't usually talk about my things, but this was a nice car. I liked this car. You know, when I got kicked out of Blaze, the first thing I had to do was sell my M5, and then I moved to Australia where, you know, they have basically bad cars. So when I came back to America, I was like, man, I'm going to work hard enough so I'm going to get myself another BMW to prove that the bitches didn't win, right? Amen. And so I bought this car. It meant a lot to me. And men would understand it's not about materialism. It's about sentiment. It's about rewarding your hard work. Well, at the early hours of Sunday morning, my only day off, by the way, that I'd had in probably about 12 days while traveling internationally, I woke up and I noticed my car was missing. But everybody in my house was there. And I called a few friends, asked them if they had borrowed my car or taken it. And it turned out somebody had borrowed my car. Unfortunately for me, it was permanently borrowed by the Lake Worth people who, according to police records, now found the plates matched all the way down towards Broward County, towards going down towards Miami. So somebody did take the car, but just like they took the nerves out of my left side of my face, nearly took my life, pointed a gun to my head and gave me PTSD. Also stole my wife's wallet, broke into the car, and had a home invasion and carjacked me one time in LA, as well as one of them in 17 years in prison for holding a knife up and trying to kill my brother. And that's not even getting into the depth of how many felonies have been committed against my family from these people. I've decided maybe, just maybe, it's time to start being mean to people again. Maybe we gotta just start doing what matters and get back to a place to where we have to get tough on crime. And if being tough on crime means you're anti-black, like the mayor of DC said, when you're tough on crime, it's anti-blackness. Well then, hey, fuck it. Let's get anti-black. No, I'm kidding. Let's just get tough on crime. We're going to be talking today about some crazy crimes from, I think his name is Raja Jackson. Is that his name? Raja Jackson, R-A-J-A. This guy beat up this white guy in a wrestling ring in what many are calling a deadly assault or an attempted murder. Plus, we're going to find out not just my story of getting carjacked, amongst many other things, but also getting my gun stolen and robbed. And this isn't the first time. And on top of that, American man was stabbed, trying to prevent two girls from getting raped in Germany. And then the guy stabbed him in the face, cut off his nose and his lip, and then they were released 12 hours later from custody because they didn't want to be racist. We have a problem, folks. My name is Elijah Schaefer. It is approximately 7:10 p.m. Eastern time in the United States. This is The Rift, live Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern time only on rifttv.com, YouTube, Rumble, X, and on Facebook. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to this video as it helps us out a lot. Let's start the show.
Oh, having a little bit of a hiccup again, sorry.
All right, it's fine. We don't have to start the show. We can
wait, I could do it.
Yeah, go ahead. We can start the show. Let's make sure the other shortcuts are there. All right. My name is Elijah Schaefer, and we have a great show for you guys today. Unfortunately, this has not been a good weekend, so I'm not in a good mood. I'm not happy. I'm not very pleased. I don't want to deal with any more Indians on the phone. I don't want to talk to any more people that are guaranteeing me a deal. You know, it's not Cuba, buddy. And unfortunately, that for the rest of the people on the panel, we are going to be all in a mood today. At least these guys here are better than myself. Joining me today is Rift TV contributor Braden Sorbo. Welcome back. It's good to have you on the show.
Hey, well, I'm excited to be back. We have some fun conversations. As someone who was able to be privy to the information right when it dropped, I had some remarks for myself as well.
Yeah, and I think when I turned his mic up a little bit, it was a little bit low there.
I talk loud, but I am quiet.
Yeah, you are quiet today. It was just your birthday, by the way, over the weekend.
It was.
Yeah.
24.
24 years old.
I don't know how I made it this far, but you know.
It gets after 25, it's all downhill, man.
I don't think birthdays in between 21 and 25 count. I've heard for guys, it's like 21st birthday you celebrate, then the 25th, then every 5 after that. So like 30, 35.
No, you lament. It's like an early funeral. Every 5 years you go, you just like have new pain, and you don't get gifts. You get sore ligaments.
Oh yeah,
and shoulder pain. You get shoulder pain when you get 30.
Yeah, that happened. Well, it happened this morning, or my birthday morning. I woke up and I was like, oh, my back hurts, my knees hurt, my shoulders. It wasn't fun.
I don't know about your knees hurting after your birthday. That's kind of weird. Also joining me back in the studio today is Pastor Joel Webbon, who, of course, runs his podcast. For people that don't know you, want to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and why the internet hates you so much, despite the fact that we all love you, man. Could you speak the truth?
Thanks, man. Happy to be on the show. Honored to be back. My name is Joel Webbon. I pastor a local church north of Austin, Central Texas. It's Covenant Bible Church is the name. And then, a few years ago, I started Right Response Ministry and wanting to have a little bit more influence outside of the local church context. And so we do a live stream 3 times a week at 3 p.m. Central Time on Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays. And in terms of why people hate me, well, there's a lot of answers to that, but I think the simplest, most concise way to put it is that I'm trying to uncover and present from the scripture biblical, historic Christianity, which seems like a heresy when all you've ever known is 20th century liberalism walking around in a Christian skin suit.
Yeah, you know what? I completely agree. I was just noticing earlier as we talk about this topic, a lot of people virtue signal, especially in your comment sections. They're always just like, wow, Pastor, I just didn't know you became like this. And then the this that you became is just like saying a basic truth about reality. And you realize how far the Christian community has fallen, where they're so big on making people feel good and telling them what they want to hear, that the moment a pastor comes out and says, actually, here's the truth. And by the way, we don't have to put everything into this Christianese biblical language. Sometimes as men, we can just, tell our kids, don't shit on the floor, and we don't have to make it a concept. God doesn't want us to put our waste on a place where we stand. It's like, buddy, just stop pooping on the floor, dude, or I'm gonna be grounded. You know what I mean? I have a kid who did that, by the way. Yep. So real talk,
Seems
man.
a bit hypocritical.
Yeah.
You talking about Indians.
I was going to say very anti-Indian.
When you have your own child.
I just call them kids. All right, let's jump into the stories for today. This is absolutely fantastic. Before we jump into that, I do want to give a huge shout out to one of our sponsors for today. We're talking about Red Pill Threads. These are amazing t-shirts that you can get for you and your family, although I will say probably not for your kids because they're kind of inappropriate in the best ways. For instance, as I mentioned, they're not just like MAGA t-shirts. You can get this one, which of course is the Brooklyn Tunnel Dwellers. Get your very own Brooklyn Tunnel Dwellers t-shirt in whatever size you would like. Plus, on top of that, you can also get some of their other shirts making fun of Trump right here, right? Trump is basically a Jedi, and he's saying there never was an Epstein list. You know what I mean? It's like there never was. This is not the list you're looking for. Additionally, they have plenty of other racist shirts, things making fun of Bohemian Grove, and of, like everybody. You actually found out the most racist people online are like the best Christians, which is like kind of what I don't know if that came across well, but it actually is kind of funny. Everyone's going to kill me for that one, but they killed Jesus too. So, hey, what do you know? If you can't even be perfect and live, then I'm way far from it. You got Christ is King, a lot of Catholic iconography and, fun meme stuff that you see there. I like the Christian nationalist one here.
I wear that one out.
Well, with Jesus with the gun.
Yep, Jesus with the AK. I get a lot of compliments on that one, actually.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, I don't need a shirt necessarily myself. I just say what I think, but I think shirts are a nice way to communicate what you want. Go to redpillthreads.com, redpillthreads.com. Promo code RIF, get 10% off all of those t-shirts. All right, let's jump into the topic for today, which I think is kind of crazy. So let me set the stage for you here. We have a problem with streamers, okay? Now, we call them a lot of things. We call them thugs. We call them rowdy kids. We call them teens. You know what I mean? This is what the Trump administration keeps talking about, teen crime. It's interesting. I was a teenager. I never killed anyone over a word. I never thought about beating anyone up because I was disrespect. I never told them to axe me again. I changed the batteries in my smoke alarm. I charged my watches. I had batteries in them. And I knew how to read analog clocks. Apparently not everyone does. Essentially, he was streaming, and he felt like he was disrespected. This is a very big streamer, by the way, who was out there. He felt like he was disrespect, okay, by a wrestler. And so he was told by the, we'll get to the backstory. Basically, he was just told by the organizers that he could go in and throw a few fake punches and like make it look like they were getting even, because it's wrestling. It's literally an act. Yeah. And this is what he did. Check this out, and we'll talk about this. So he throws him down, knocks him out, and he's out cold, and proceeds to blow his attempted murder here. All right, so I'm just going to go back to Joel here. Okay, so without any context, this is why this is a very big conversation about. We have a lot to talk about here about society, how we expectations, how we expect people to behave, and this is actually the biggest story of the weekend, to be completely honest, other than the flag burning stuff. I know you're not a big watching streamers, but what's your initial thoughts when you saw this? Because to me, I'm just going to be completely honest. I saw a guy who didn't care if he killed a guy.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd say he is attempting murder because I don't think he was thinking that far ahead. I think he was just thinking blow one, blow two, boom, 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 give me that, But I do think that this guy should be tried for some form of serious assault, and I do believe it was premeditated. We saw in the film, and it was very disturbing to say the least. I don't know what your take was on this, but these streamers are going too far. Streamers.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't be murder in the first degree. It's not. It doesn't seem as though it was premeditated, but a crime of passion, right? So we have second-degree murder, and then we have manslaughter. Manslaughter would be an accident, but an accident meaning like you were drunk and hit somebody in your car. That's different than I accidentally beat someone to death, right? Like each punch is calculated. It's it's determinative. So I would place this as attempted second-degree murder. I think that the penalty should be absolutely severe. He should be in prison for a very, very long time, if not indefinitely. It's a crime. It's heinous, and it's something that we have to be able to talk about.
Well, at the very best, like the best case scenario is this guy lost complete control of his emotions, has zero regard for humanity or any empathy whatsoever, and went crazy, ballistic.
Yeah.
Like he just allowed animal instinct. I've seen animals with zero impulse control behave better than this guy did. So that's at the best. At the worst case, it was premeditated. I actually DM'd you a video on the chat where we send links of him talking after the fact, going, "It's always been my dream to mess up a pro wrestler. I've always wanted." So to me, that sounds premeditated, which obviously contradicts what we
I
saw
didn't see
online.
That. If that's the case, then
So I sent a couple
right now
videos.
here. I have it. Let me see. So to make matters, make more context. This white wrestler essentially smashed a prop beer can onto his head, thinking that he was a part of the act. Okay, and then. And you could see maybe if he beat him up for doing that, maybe you'd understand that more. But then he clarified he didn't realize that he was streaming and not a part of the act outside of the facility. They talked, they discussed, he apologized, the white guy did, the black guy accepted his apology, and then was lying, right? And so here's what he's saying. This was like after that, right? I think this video is him after that.
I sent a couple in the chat. I sent the can smash, I sent the apology.
All right, listen.
It didn't even hurt, it just pissed me off. That shit pissed me off. And I'm gonna have to get him back. They said I can go in the ring and get it that. I don't even know what I'm gonna do to him. Bro, my dad can't do shit. I'm gonna fake crash out. All right, bet. You about to see how fake of a crash out I am.
You heard what he said? Someone said to him, "You're a fake crash out." He said, "I'm a fake crash out."
All right, bet.
Again, you're gonna see the escalation.
It's always been my dream to fuck up a pro wrestler for real. So I get it today. Am I really gonna fight him? Yeah, I'm gonna punch his ass for real. But I don't believe in me getting disrespected too. I'm too nice. Bet. That shit was not staged. I'm telling you that right now. How many subs to knock him out? That's a good question. 50 subs to knock him out. If he hits me back for real, I don't give a fuck. I want him to. Y'all want me to teabag him? People think this shit's sweet. People think this shit's a fucking game. Hey, you're right, Joel. I gotta show him some form of respect. Then they don't train no goddamn martial arts. I'm really going to hit him, I'm telling you. What should I do, chat? Should I pick him up? Should I slam him first or hit him? W, if I should slam him first, I'm not fucking around. You don't think I can do it, Miggy? Bet. My dad can't never call me a bitch. Fuck this dude. Oh, you think he's stronger than me? All right, Suave, watch. Shut the fuck up.
Dude, this is like a crazy thing they're gonna play in court.
Be talking like this in front of me, nigga. Chat, watch what I do to him. Tony, I'm gonna show you, Tony.
A few moments later.
And then it's this song.
Okay.
And slams him down on his head. Okay, yeah. So you said it wasn't premeditated, but the point is like he keeps saying the same thing. I need respect. You got to respect me.
Just for the record, I did not see that.
Yeah. No, of course.
No, that's different.
That in court does not bode well. I mean, that's like best case scenario is, his animal instincts overtook him, and my client is clinically 70 IQ, therefore he can't be tried as an adult or whatever. But he literally is saying it's always been his dream to do this. I'm going to do this. I can't wait to hit him for real. I hope he hits me back. I want this to happen. I mean, and the whole confrontation started because Stu Smith is his name. He's a former Army veteran. And so he has a whole biography online talking about his experience dealing with PTSD. And that's why he got into wrestling, is because it helps him overcome that PTSD, where he can put on a show for the crowd. Because wrestling, as everyone knows, is fake. The whole idea is you go, it's choreographed for the safety of the performers, but also for the entertainment of the audience. And so this guy who suffers with PTSD as an Army veteran goes in thinking that this is all a game. And so he uses a fake prop can. Now, like in the world of acting, you have fake cans, you have fake bottles, none of them hurt. So it was all for show. And then he apologized to the guy after, Raja. And Raja goes, you're good. Just be, like, you got to be careful. He's like, I had no idea. Like, I thought that this was all show. I thought this wasn't for real. And so in Stu's mind, he's probably thinking, okay, everything's good now. But obviously, you can't relax. You just never can.
You can't. Like, and this is the problem, man. Like, you can do, I don't think we need to like play any audio here, but kind of like if you see this video, this is the guy who's a veteran. And I think what I'm going through as a man is that, when you're younger, you might be on the internet, you might have trollish views, but as you're getting older, you start making real sacrifices, not just for your country, but for your family, for the people around you, and you get tired. No one talks about that, about how your energy levels drop because you're not 21 anymore. You can't just get wasted and wake up and go live your life and get wasted again and wake up and live your life. I've tried, it doesn't work. But the thing is that what I'm talking about responsibility is you're going, look, I only have one life and I'm working really hard and I'm trying my best. I expect everyone else to kind of be doing the same thing as well. And I also look at my ancestors, I see what they built, and I realize that I'm not the first person here, that I come from a line of people of great succession, of great pedigree, people who have done many, many fantastic things for this nation, for their families, and for their communities. And I walk around and I go, when I see in El Salvador that they just say, once you have a gang tattoo, I'm sorry, you get no more human rights because you guys are making 6 million people not have human rights. And so I'd rather put 80,000 of you in prison so that 6 million can be free, is what he said, the Bukele. Should we respect the human rights of 80,000 so that 6 million can be neglected, or should we sacrifice 80,000 for the rights of the greater masses? The good people too, by the way. I'm starting to see this stuff and I'm feeling like, I'm feeling Rhodesia. Rhodesia had curfews for these people, 8 p.m., the sirens, we have sirens for tornadoes, things that are destructive, things that cause problems. We have warnings for tsunamis. But it's like, to be completely honest, they said that when they had the sirens, I talked to a Rhodesian guy out here, and he said when the sirens were in place in Rhodesia, they had nearly 0 murder, 0 rape, and 0 robbery. And when the government changed and the sirens moved, it immediately turned into a lawless and chaotic society. So I'm just kind of at the point where I think integration has failed entirely, and I am personally at a point where I want to do something about this, and I cannot believe that I don't know. I think I'm gonna move. I mean, we're gonna have to move somewhere else because I can't live around these kind of wild people. I can't do it. I can't do it anymore. I've lost too much. And it's like this guy almost lost his life.
He woke up recently.
No, but he's something bad that just got announced today about his health.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, took like a turn for the worse or something. But anyway, I'm just saying this. Like, I see this stuff, and it's just like, why would you even smash a can of Coke, or fake Coke on a black guy's head? Why would you expect him to play by the rules? Now, if he was like a normal, like, just guy had, I always call them Americans who are black instead of black Americans. It's like somebody's just a normal person who happens to have dark skin. Whatever. They're not going to hurt you. But like, they say, right? I mean, that's the whole point, is that there are blacks and there are, are the ends, and there's very much a difference between them. And when a guy's like talking about respect and everything, I just don't even approach these people. I avoid them entirely. I'm just saying, because I don't want to get hurt.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's extreme, but I don't know. I don't know if that's extreme.
Yeah, I think there are plenty of people who are beginning to feel like that. And the only solution is, they'll say anti-Semitism, it's terrible, it's hateful. It's like, well, but a decent degree of anti-Semitism is related to Jewish behavior. And I think there's something to be said for a decent degree of racism, whatever that word means these days, related to the behavior of minorities. And so you have to actually punish crime, and you need to punish it swiftly, justly, severely. Otherwise you're going to have a bunch of people who are angry, and eventually people won't take it. A lot of the things that that guys like us would talk about, I wish that people realize that these are the moderate positions. Mm-hmm. These are actually the moderate positions. These are the things that a society, a sane society, a God-fearing society would do in order to stave off a more extreme reaction. But if you do nothing, and this continues to happen, these kinds of things, and there's no longer the same degree of suppression of free speech, and people, these videos are going viral for everybody to see every single day of the week on TikTok and Instagram and everywhere else, then eventually people are going to rise up and take matters into their own hands. If the government, if our civil magistrates don't instill justice, then the people will become vigilantes. That will happen.
Well, look at this. I just want to play this video. This is the story. This is what this guy says. So he gets stabbed in the face. Come on, wait, hold on. Stop. So this guy gets stabbed in the face, an American in Germany, and like he looks messed up, right? He looks like one of the Housewives of Beverly Hills. You know what I mean? That's how carved up he is.
It's like a Mar-a-Lago girl.
Yeah, he's a Trump's next lawyer. But the deal is his face is carved up. He gets stabbed in the face trying to save girls from getting raped, white women from like Syrian migrants, and then they release the migrants because they say that they don't want to be racist. Literally, it's like they're not from, they're not citizens. They don't know what they did. The same thing. There's no accountability, and he says he articulates what you said, and I think that's where maybe you and I are older. You're not about the same age, but these young guys. They didn't grow up in a world where they need to be PC. They grew up on the internet. You know what I mean? And they know people are vicious and ruthless. And now they're realizing, just like the left was vicious, maybe, like it's not fun getting raped, and it's not fun getting stabbed in the face. And maybe it's better to be mean and prevent other people from getting stabbed in the face than to try to be nice, which is the death of evangelical Christianity. Try to be nice, but yet you're causing the death, right? So look at this.
Problem, especially Germany. Let me drop some knowledge on you. It is 11:57 right now. In 3 minutes, that man that assaulted that young woman yesterday will be released from custody. He'll be released from custody because he's not a citizen of Germany. He's not a citizen of the EU for that matter. He doesn't even belong in here. He's an immigrant, an illegal one, a drug dealer, and very popularly known here, especially by the police. This is not the first time this has happened. It's not the first time that man had beat up women, and it's not the first time that the other guy decided to take a swing at my face with a 6-inch blade. If they could do this to the people of Germany and then just get released 12 hours later, even less at this point, where's the law? Where's the structure? If the Germans are held to that law and that structure, but these people could just come in, swing knives, and hurt, abuse, terrorize, and oppress citizens of Germany, then what do we do?
Yeah, what do we do? That was pretty dark. It's like, this is the same in every country I'm seeing right now. The laws are being applied only to white people. Yeah. To be honest, people say there's a lot of black people in jail. If the laws were actually applied, like if we actually did proper policing and stuff, most black people would be in jail. Most young black men, I should say. There's a lot of good black people, but
one in
black
22.
Men, yeah, well, it would be more. I'm saying, I'm saying they'd find knives and machetes, and if we did proactive policing. Mm-hmm. My point is, it's like, well, what are we gonna do? Because, like, I'll get into it, and we'll talk about it in a little bit about what the Christian perspective is on race and what do we do here. And also I'll give the racist perspective on racism because that's what I do. But also, like, it's at the point now where it's like, yeah, I think about it. It's like I've been carjacked, home invaded, guns pointed at my head, beat up, carjacked twice now. I just lost over $100,000 in a carjacking. I have a stolen firearm, which is very dangerous, right? Yeah. I mean, that's extremely insane. Not to include the other things that I loved, other sentimental things in that car that I had. And, I'm living in a neighborhood that shouldn't happen in, and I'm moving around, and I'm trying to move, and I somehow cannot avoid being a victim of black crime. People are like, well, why does it keep happening to you? Well, because I actually live the life that men used to live, okay? So you are just home and you don't do anything because you're a bitch. And, I would call you a pussy, but you are what you eat, and you ain't getting any of that either. So, you're nothing. And it's like, so when you're a man, I'm going out living like a man. I'm living out in the world. And unfortunately, when you actually move around and you meet people and you're trying to live a good, successful life, you will run into these people, and the laws don't apply to them. It's in Australia. To literally tell you the truth, like in Australia, the guys are getting arrested rather than in jail for, sig heiling and like, saying N-word or whatever. But all the Arabs were saying to gas the Jews and like commit another Holocaust or whatever during these anti-Jewish raids, and the police did nothing but then put out alert that we need to really stop white supremacy. And it was like brown Arabs saying it, and like, yeah, this is why white supremacy is a bad issue. It's like laws don't apply to brown people or to black people, and they know that, and they're mocking us in our own country. How many more Indians need to kill? You know, Canadians, Americans, Westerners, like that bus crash in Niagara Falls. You know, there was another one today, another one today. How many more people need to be dead before you're like, dude, it's us or them? And they're taking advantage of our system. But why are our laws only applying to white people? That's what I want to know. I don't get that.
Well, it's because the people in charge of the system hate white people. They don't hate anybody else like they hate white people. That's what it is. I mean, in Sweden, a young woman who was like literally sexually assaulted. I don't remember what I could say on YouTube, but sexually assaulted by a migrant spent more time in jail for calling him a migrant than he did for sexually assaulting her.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we actually have laws in place. My mom went to Sweden when she was in high school. She was a foreign exchange student. Sweden, before they opened their borders, was a wonderful country that you can go to and be around like-minded people and just experience a wonderful culture. Once they opened their borders, they became the sexual assault capital of the world for a long period of time.
I think they still are.
They might still be.
At least of Europe.
Yeah, for sure. And so what you have is when you're talking about like that video where the guy is experiencing, you know, he's saying, well, if somebody doesn't do something soon, then we're in big trouble, and who's going to be the one to do something? And you're saying the moderate position is to sit here and call it out and to say, hey, something needs to take place, something needs to happen before vigilantes start doing it, because the vigilantes won't listen.
Yeah, no, you're right. Just to clarify, that's the moderate position for us.
Yes.
So in the realm of media, that's the moderate position. But the moderate position in terms of legislation from the civil aspect is that you crack down on crime, but it's more than that. If we actually care about native citizens, right, whether it be America or certain European countries, if you actually care about the native citizens, which as a civil magistrate you should. I think of, you know, Thomas Watson and, you know, the reformers, the Puritans, they referred to civil magistrates as civil fathers. They had a duty to be a civil father to the citizens of that particular nation. It's a fatherly role. And in that role, if they're not going to take it up, if they're not going to actually bear the responsibility that's God ordained, then eventually you're going to have vigilantes. But my hope would be that, you know, the civil magistrate does its job. But in terms of its job, it's not just cracking down on crime. To be frank, I think a lot of this is ultimately could be tied back to our sacred democracy. This is the fruit of democracy.
Yep.
Democracy means democracy always has a short shelf life because basically it only lasts as long as it takes for the people to realize they can vote for stuff. And the second that the people realize that they can vote for stuff, then the country's done. Because at that point, what you have is you have, you know, politicians vying for power, and what they're going to do is they're going to import voters. They're going to import voters. You cannot have a secure nation and secure borders with a democratic vote. So like people will be like, well, you know, I get in trouble because I say repeal the 19th Amendment. But to be fair, you know, to not just pick on women, I want to repeal voting pretty much across the board. I think it should be an aristocracy. I think that a very few minimum of people, I do think it should be men. But, you know, like I went viral just a couple weeks ago, you know, outlining criteria for voting. I think it should be men. I believe that it should be Christian men. It's like, well, you know, the Constitution says that you can't have a religious test for office. And it's like, well, calm down. I didn't say for office. I said just to vote for people in office plus office. It's both.
Yes.
I think you should be a Christian. I think you should have to make a public profession of faith. You need to be a man. You need to be property owning. But because the boomers are ultimately going to be building, you know, some base on the moon and harvesting organs and living forever, you know, and they've made it impossible to own any land. I would say, you know, net positive tax paying would be kind of the substitute for land owning. Land owning is preferable, but it's impossible, especially for Gen Z, which I have the utmost compassion for because boomers really did ruin the world. So net positive, and there'd be some exceptions there. Like if you're a veteran and your legs were blown off, you know, fighting another war for Israel, and, you know, now you have, you know, certain benefits and you receive more than you actually pay in taxes, but, you know, you paid with your legs. All right, well, that's a fair exception. But you need to be net positive tax paying. You need to be a Christian. You need to be a male. In addition to that, no dual citizenship. No dual citizenship for civil office, absolutely. But in addition to that, I would say that if you're going to vote in our elections, you must relinquish citizenship somewhere else. You can't, like, so even like biblically speaking, people will be like, well, there was immigration, in the Bible, Ruth, she was from Moab. Yeah, but Ruth looked at her mother-in-law, Naomi, and she said, your people will be my people and your God, my God. That's not just an accepting of one culture and one religion and one people. That's a denial of your previous culture, your previous gods, your previous people. Ruth did not go into Israel and set up shrines to Moabite gods. She didn't come in with her cousin and her uncle and her aunt and her grandpa. No, she left her people. She left false gods in Moab. There's a forsaking. And to assimilate, there actually has to be, if you're really going to assimilate, it's not just that you're accepting something separate, but you're actually relinquishing what you previously held on to. So no dual citizenship for voting. It should be male only. It should be Christian men. It should be net positive tax paying. No dual citizenship. Also, of course, not a criminal record. If you're a criminal, you don't get to vote. And so, all these different things, we could do this. But my point is, until you do that, universal suffrage, it necessarily means limitless immigration. This is the correlation that I want to help people understand. You cannot stop limitless immigration while maintaining universal suffrage. Universal suffrage is limitless immigration. It is, period. And so until we ultimately are able to lay the blame at the feet of our sacred democracy, we're going to continue to have, foreigners ravaging wives and children and buildings and property and all these kinds of things. Now, that said, I think, 100 million need to go back, and that's not, trying to be hashtag based or some arbitrary number. We just saw the data that we have 55 million people currently in the United States who are on working visas, and then an additional 50 million illegal aliens, right? So when I say 105, that's the moderate, fair position. 105 million have to go back. That's about a third of the country. Which you are not radicalized enough. You need to see that data, and you need to take that directly and interpret it and say, my civil leaders hate me.
Yep.
They hate me. This is not incompetence. This is treason. It's not incompetence. It is treason. These are people who hate you, and they hate the country. They are treasonous. They are traitors, absolute traitors. So 105 million have to go back. The remaining, right, so that cuts off a third of who's currently in the United States. Those remaining, it should be men and not women. So that cuts off another third, right? So now you're down to about 100 million people. And then, of course, children aren't voting, and you need to be property owning or net positive, tax paying. You need to be a Christian, have a profession of faith. You need to relinquish dual citizenship. So, that's going to hit multiple different people, but it will be disproportionate, right? It's going to affect Jews. You also need to ban pornography while we're at it, ban exorbitant forms of usury while we're at it, right? And when I say, I'm not talking about 3% loans to buy a house, right? Because very few people can buy a house, period, much less save up in cash and pay it all in once. I'm talking about financing burritos, right? So I'm talking about loan sharks. Yeah. I'm talking about where you go and you get your paycheck 2 weeks early with 18% interest, and you're in a hole that you'll never get out of.
You can rent clothes
that
now.
Kind of stuff.
Express, by the way, has now clothes rental services. Now, I know we could always rent clothes, but you're talking about $15 T-shirts, right? Not tuxes and things like that. And on top of that, it's even worse in countries like Australia, but they have something called like Afterpay, which I think it might be here now. But like anything you buy, it's like you could be buying like a $5 headband, and you can just put on Afterpay and then break it into four payments.
It's exploitive. It's intentionally exploitive. It's preying on the poorest of the poor. So if you ban these kinds of things, right, and you do everything else that I was saying, 105 million have to go back, and here's the criteria for who gets to vote, then what you're left with, honestly, is you're left with an aristocracy. You're left with those who actually have a vested interest in the country. Here's another one. I can't believe I almost forgot. One more very significant criteria for voting is you need to be able to prove, and this is the moderate position. This is me being a lib. You need to be able to prove on both sides of the family, mother and father, that you are a third generation American, right? So when people say like, well, I'm an American because I'm a citizen. Were you born here? If you're not born here, you're not an American. Oh, well, I was born here. Were your parents born here? Because if they weren't born here, you're not an American. It doesn't work like that, right? I could go to Japan and I could get Japanese citizenship. I will never be Japanese, and my children would not be Japanese. But if I was single, I went to Japan, I got citizenship, I married a Japanese woman, and we had half Japanese children, and then they married Japanese spouses, and now my grandchildren are 75% Japanese, then they're not just Japanese citizens, they're actually Japanese.
Yeah.
We understand this it's a very basic, it's not racist, it's not rude, it's not mean. This is a basic concept that we understand when it comes to every single country in the world, except for white countries.
Except for white European countries. Actually, it's funny you brought up Japan, because by age 22 in Japan, you have to pick one country to have you can't have dual citizenship in Japan.
Because they're sane.
Yeah, they are
because
sane.
they're sane.
Well, they have high
and that's what I
IQs.
realized. I don't think I'm racist in a true sense. That said, racist is a Marxist word that didn't even come into the dictionary until the last 90, about 100 years. I think it was like the 1920s. But the way that people say racist today, which means nothing. Well, the way that the word racist is used today, right? So I gave the disclaimer and what I'm talking about. The way that racism is used today, white, European ancestry countries really only have two choices: survive and become racist, or be anti-racist and disappear.
Yeah, Deuteronomy 28:43 was not an instruction manual. The alien residing in your land will rise up higher and higher, and you will descend lower and lower.
Right, that's a curse.
It was literally a curse.
It's a
So
curse.
everyone likes to throw in Bible verses and be like, well, you're Christian or you're Catholic, and you have to support all this mass immigration because Jesus was pro-immigrant. It's like, you don't understand the destruction that comes from foreign people serving foreign gods in your land.
Amen.
There's a big difference between the story of Ruth and the story of the Israelites going in Exodus and marrying the Canaanites, marrying the Amalekites, marrying the Moabites. They went in and they intermixed faith. And what it did to them was it pulled them away from God. That's why God kept sending curses. The entire book of Judges ends every chapter with, and each man did what was right in his own eyes.
Right.
And then God sends a curse, and then he sends a judge, and the judge saves them. And that's the whole Old Testament. It's a prophecy of Jesus, obviously, but the foretelling. But it is literally a guide for us. Okay, don't do what they did.
Right.
They were wrong.
Speaking of curses,
follow that.
No, well said, man. Good job. Speaking of curses, being ruled by foreigners is a curse. Also, being ruled by women.
Yes.
Isaiah talks about. I believe it's Isaiah chapter 2 that says, "Women and children will be your rulers." This is not something to brag about. Look how progressive we are. Look how much we've accomplished. No, look how much of God's judgment we've incurred. This is actually a sign of God's judgment. The fact that we're ruled. There's only two types of leaders currently in the West: women and women adjacent.
Yep.
That's pretty much about it. You either have to be a woman of either sex, right? Woman of both sexes.
Well,
or you don't get to lead.
Yeah, and that's what I often tell a lot of people who, come at me for, wow, you support the 19th Amendment being taken away. What's wrong with you? I said, well, before the 19th Amendment was instituted, which for the record, only 4% of women by the time it was ratified actually wanted, it's because the people in government said, how can we pull the children out of the influence of the homes and tax both genders? How can we get both of those things at once? Well, we tell women that they're oppressed, they're manipulated easily, and so let's just go for it. And it worked. But what people fail to realize is when men were voting as the person in charge, as the aristocrat, as the patriarch, the head of household, they took responsibility for their entire family. That's the whole point of Ephesians 5:23 through 25. Because everyone likes to go, well, Ephesians 5:20 through 22 is women submit to your husbands, and that's oppressive and all this stuff, and let's just ignore that part of the Bible. But they forget the second part. It says, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church, offering himself up for her. And so a lot of people fail to realize that before women had the right to vote, they actually had more influence because their husband's entire job was to make sure that his family was protected, which means he was voting for the best interest of the household, not selfishly, not what can I do to make myself a better. Like 67% of women in this past election said that the top issue for them was abortion. Abortion. That's inherently selfish. How many children can I murder in my womb? Men voted.
But you have to know why that is. And here's the thing, is because women are not happy when they're in control and in power. They actually want to be submissive, and they want you to put them in their place. And giving women the right to abortion is the ultimate way of telling them, look, women, we're going to let you be in charge. And how do you know women are in charge? When things that don't make sense are put into law, right? When the feminine spirit is around, that's when you have laws that are nonsensical. when are men that are rulers, when do they go crazy? When they start doing things for women? What happened with John the Baptist? You know, how did he die? Right, because a king wanted to please a woman and what she wanted, but it wasn't good for the kingdom. Right? Yeah. Obviously, men can have ego and vice, and things can also get in the way to make them bad rulers. I understand, and demonic possession, but I'm not talking about just one ruler. I'm talking about a society, right? The society rule, the laws of civil interaction. And so what happens is women want abortion because abortion allows them to live outside of the parameters that God has placed upon them. It allows them to cheat the limitations that God put on them. This is why I'm not a big fan of condoms, you know, in general. Like, you know, you don't wear raincoats in the shower. It defeats the purpose. You know, you put a condom on, it's like you can still ejaculate in a woman, but not really. It's like in a bag. And so it's like, you know, it's not really, it's kind of a weird invention, and it kind of changes your viewpoint of sex, even as a guy. And it can kind of like really create a culture where men get what they want. They get the condom. Women get contraceptives and also abortion, and they don't have to have motherhood. And you detach sex entirely from procreation. Right. And then that creates a very narcissistic lifestyle where it becomes about pleasure and it becomes about getting what you want. And men are trying to getting what they want. Women are getting what they want. But eventually, what the curse of man is, eventually men stop getting what they want. And now it's only the top 10% of men are getting what they want. And young men are not getting sex anymore because eventually the society teeters until men will feel the punishment of a female-led society. And it's interesting when I see women, you know, that are out there. A lot of women ask me, you know, does Elijah Schaffer hate women? And the answer, of course, is yes. Who doesn't? No, I'm totally kidding. Okay, but I say no. Like I hate what women have become, and I do hate it when women expect men in society to uphold the natural masculine tendencies. Right. Meaning, women are literally going after the top 10% of men, which are what kind of men? I saw a tweet that said this. It's like, it's crazy how in 2025 to pull bitches, you literally have to be like a millionaire, 6'7", drive a Lamborghini, and like that's who, like, you know what I mean? Like, and be white. And it's like, yeah, so women are still going after men that emulate the most masculine tendencies, right? They're going after tall, rich, famous men. And what do we get? The women, they're just whores. They can't even cook a Hot Pocket, you know? So it's like, and that's why once you have sex with them, once you come to your senses, right? So it's like you have that post ejaculate clarity, not clarity, they call it online these days. But like, because you realize, like, after you nut, you're like, you're just a bunch of holes. And that's really sad because then it devalues women. So then your view of women becomes so low because women really are just a bunch of holes today. But that doesn't mean that's who they have to be or who God made them to be or what they should be. And I think that a lot of the hatred that I have towards women and a lot of the hatred a lot of men have towards women is simply the product of generations of sin and rebellion that have created women to be something that they're not. They're not feminine. They're masculine. And like look at this type of woman that's out there that I think is like kind of crazy. I want to play a video here. Myron Gaines was talking about it. There's like this type of woman that acts like masculine. I meet a lot of girls like this in Miami, especially this area. Check this out.
What is it with these fucking male streamers trying to piss off female streamers? Like you try to piss off female streamers, and then when you get a reaction that you wanted, you go, why are you so emotional? Like, yo, if you emotional, stop streaming. Like, stop. And then okay, cool. They get emotional, they cry. Stop being a crybaby. You a pussy. Okay. So then when they fight back, what do you all say? She aggressive bitch. Yo, is that a man? Yo, is this? Yo, she did this, and this, bro. Yo, fuck her, bro. Yo, she overreacted, bro. But I promise you, bro, if I was Rakai right now and I went to go put a fucking firecracker in this fucking room and I build that shit up, it's content. But if I get pissed off and I do some crazy shit, it's not content. Whoa!
What is that? Where did that personality develop? There's a lot of girls like that today. There really is. I mean, a ton of them out here. It's like masculine. It's like black. What? You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. I hate this type of woman. And unfortunately in Miami, that's everyone I meet.
It's a loud woman. So I think of 1 Peter chapter 3 that says, you know, that women should not just strive for external beauty in the way that they adorn themselves physically, but they should strive for the beauty of the heart, which is pleasing in the sight of God. It's imperishable, right? Because physical beauty is fleeting, charm is deceptive, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. So this imperishable beauty of the heart, internal beauty, that's pleasing in the sight of God is described by two primary characteristics, which is a gentle and quiet spirit, a gentle and quiet spirit. And I think if you were to sum up the wayward woman, the wicked woman, the rebellious woman, the woman that is the antithesis of everything that God has designed women to be, if you were to sum it up in one word, especially looking at the Proverbs, it would be the word loud. Loud. Women today, they dress loud, right? Look at me, right? It's immodest. It's loud. It's provocative. It's attention-seeking. They dress loud. They speak loud. They act loud. They're loud. And so it's the antithesis of true internal beauty of the heart, which is, again, defined as a gentle and quiet spirit. Men, if you were to sum up, men in a positive light and what they should be, men should be strong and women should be beautiful, right? So I would say beauty for women and strength for men. But if we were to flesh out beauty a little bit more, again, internal or external? Well, the external matters, but what's chiefly of importance is internal beauty. Okay, well, how do you describe that? Gentle and quiet spirits. The opposite of that, loud. The woman that we just watched on the screen, that is a loud woman.
Yeah. Well, it's literally, you mentioned Proverbs. That's exactly what I was thinking of. The lips of honey leads down the path to Sheol, right? Like that.
Yep.
The entire book of Proverbs is a warning on men and women
It's
and
a
what
father
to avoid.
to his son.
Yeah. It's
watch out for this type of woman.
better to live in the corner of a thatched roof or the desert than deal with a quarrelsome woman. I mean, Proverbs 31 is what all these girls online are putting in their Bible verses, but how many of them are really living
Shut
out
up, bitch.
that,
You know what I mean?
that ideals?
Really though, like, can we get real here, brother? Rachel Wilson is in the chat. $20
Let's
super
go,
chat.
Rachel.
Said we have a couple from her. She also said to you real fast on women. Women's behavior was a result of removing accountability, telling them they are perfect the way they are, and any criticism of them is abuse. Why would we expect to see good character in people raised this way? It's true. I think it's not that they're raised by their fathers a certain way, it's that they're raised by their mothers. And you do notice, this is what's crazy. A woman without a male in the house is so toxic to both the man and the woman raising them, because like there is, I'll just point that out. Like, yeah, when a man is absent in his daughter's life, she turns into a whore very often, a narcissistic whore, because a woman, she has to not just watch, they say, like, a boy watches his dad, so he learns how to be a man. Yeah, but also a woman watches his dad's relationship with the mom and sees how he checks a woman and how he keeps them in line and stable and whatnot. And by the way, I want to point out an ode to women. When I found out on Sunday that that my insurance company wasn't covering my carjacking and I was going to be out over $100,000, I had a little bit of a panic attack. Like I actually had like a bit of a meltdown. And I think that's normal as a guy when you find out that the down payment you've been saving for a house is now going to be going towards, they call it the NIG tax, by the way. That's just not in relation to any words, but it's just NIG, right? The NIG tax. And yeah, so when you realize that, yeah, but it's like, my wife has the moments where a woman can be helpful. She's like, hey, you've been through crazier things. You've been Me Too'd. You've had people destroy your career. You've had people, you've gone through public humiliation rituals. You've been blackmailed. Like, you've gotten through everything. Remember what you've went through. And so women do come in. You do have a strong woman. That statement, like men, a strong man is even stronger wife. I don't agree with that. But what I do say is, you still want to, there is some strength to a woman that's resilient that we don't talk about. But at the same time, like, the bitches are crazy. And so you really are the stable one in the relationship in terms of keeping order and keeping pace and keeping income. And I just want to point that out.
Let me respond, if you don't mind, to Rachel Wilson. So I've watched her. I think I follow her online. I think she follows me. And I think she has a lot of good takes. And I'm grateful, and I have, no intention to disparage her or anything like that. I'm really appreciative. There's a lot of things that she says that I think are right, that I think are biblical, and I appreciate. That said, she's absolutely right, but I think there's two elements, and the second one is the one that guys don't want to talk about, so I'll talk about it. So one is the lack of accountability. So what would cause a woman who ordinarily, according to created order and the way that God has designed women, that she would aspire towards beauty, and not just external, but internal, and that chiefly described as, a gentle and quiet spirit, and rather she would forsake that and embrace being a loud woman. All right, so what are the causes? One is a lack of accountability for women, which we absolutely have had for decades. A complete and utter lack of accountability for women has caused them to be loud. But here's another one. Women in the public sphere.
Oh.
That
So I just got to be honest. Like, we can't just pretend that it's a lack of accountability. That it's like, oh, well, there's all these women, who are on public platforms and they're speaking, and they're doing this and they're doing that, and it's just the fact that we don't acknowledge that women have faults and the fact that we never speak about their sin and that we never hold them accountable. No, they shouldn't be speaking. Period. I'm going to be that guy.
Yeah,
I'm going to be that guy. They should not be. The public sphere is not the realm of women. A godly woman who fears the Lord, her feet, right? So think of the Proverbs. The opposite is she's loud, she's abrasive, she's the seductress, but also her feet are quick to stray from home.
Yeah.
She's never staying home. A woman, and I understand that that's a reference in the literal capacity. That's a reference to she's an adulterous woman, right? So she's not just leaving home to leave home, but she's leaving home to commit adultery, to be with another man who is not her husband. I'm aware of that, but I think that you can dig down a little deeper and say that a woman who fears the Lord, not only does she have fidelity to her husband, but she's domestic. So part of being feminine, right, is quiet, gentle, beauty, but also domestic. She's a lady of the hearth. She is a lady who, like, her domain and her heart, it's not just because she's forced to, her desire, her ambition is home-centered. She wants to be at home. She's not trying to build a platform. She's not trying to be an influencer. She's not trying to be a politician or to be a pastor, God forbid. She wants to be at home. And who rises up and calls her blessed? Well, the public, when she reaches 1 million subscribers on YouTube. No, her children rise up and call her blessed because she gave her life for them. They're the ones who know her. They're the ones who see her. She's not in the public square. She's not being praised in the city gates. Her husband praises her because her husband is the sole witness, her husband and children, the sole witness to her feminine domestic glory, because it is a domestic and homeward glory. That's her realm. That's where she flourishes. And so it's not just that we don't hold women accountable. It's also that we have women in the street. We have women in the square. We have women on the platform. We have women, like, that. It's not their place.
Yeah.
It's not their place.
I want to add to that because I thought you were going to take that a different direction. So I'll add to the direction I thought it was going. I'm plugging this right here, Embrace Masculinity, SwordlessStudios.com. Why wouldn't I? But I was going to tie it into Genesis 3 when God gives Adam and Eve the curses in the garden for disobeying him. He says to Eve, your desire will be for your husband and he will rule over you. And he says to Adam that your curse essentially will be to toil. The ground will fight you. And so as men, we have to understand that in the sense that we are going to have an uphill battle basically our entire life. It's not just like we get to coast along. We will always have to work, always have to fight.
The curse isn't work, but the curses at work would be hard.
Exactly. And so a lot of
that Sarah Stock's future husband is going to deport himself to the Titanic this year because just making fun of the women on public platforms. Yeah. No, I just Texas Toast has a
let
beef
me go
with
back
Sarah.
to the disclaimer. There are some women, again, who I'm like, I appreciate that. I respect that. I'm grateful for that. I'm not trying to pinpoint anyone. I'm not trying to be, just hashtag based. But I am saying, as a universal general principle, the public square is not traditionally the place where women should be.
No, and I agree with that.
Not trying to pick on anybody, but...
Hey, I have a question because we're already going to do another one. Rachel, can you hit me up and see if maybe we can... I know it seems kind of counterproductive, but maybe we can have like Joel and maybe even like somebody else. We could talk about the role of women and their place even in the discourse. And maybe we can get you and Sarah on or something like that on Wednesday night and another guy on and have a discussion about some of the stuff on the show and like what it is. I think that'd be a really good panel, and that would be nice that you guys would be remote because we don't need women in our spaces.
This is the only thing that I would say. Just real quick, this is the only thing that I would say. I would rather have that discussion and trying to be consistent
with her husband,
with Rachel's husband.
Yeah, okay,
and I think that Andrew has a lot of good things.
So maybe they come on together. That would be fine. What about husband and wife on together?
Yep, that would be different.
I think if we have a husband and a wife on together, because then you're not picking on a woman, you're not picking on his wife. It's like he can tell you if you're taking it too far.
I don't want to disrespect her. And again, I do want to say, if we're talking about her in specific, I'm really grateful.
All right, she said her and her husband will come on Wednesday.
But I'm saying, in general,
good, yes.
And here's the thing: I think Rachel. It sounds like she's listening.
Yeah,
I think in general she would agree with me. I think her and her husband would say, yeah, as a general principle, yeah, we don't need a bunch of women, even conservative women, in the public square arguing with men and telling them what to do.
Yeah, well,
I'm bringing Sarah on, I think, still, though, because there's 2 girls, 2 guys. That's my choice.
It's your
I'm
show.
dabbing Sarah
It's
in.
your show. I had to publicly.
Because Sarah said she doesn't argue with women. She said she doesn't, argue with men, remember?
Position.
Sarah doesn't argue
She
with
argued
men?
with me about how she doesn't actually argue with men.
Oh, so you're not a man. Apparently, that's
she's being
crazy.
consistent.
That's crazy.
I'm a transgender, actually. But also, Rachel said in the chat, no disrespect taken, Joel. I understand your point. And also someone said, Yemiel said, deport Rachel Wilson and Sarah Stock. Speaking of how funny that is, though, real fast.
They're Americans. They're women, but they're still Americans.
And they're white. Rachel Wilson said, Joel, thank you for your work defending Christian patriarchy. This is the foundation stone of civilization.
Amen.
And the egalitarian creep into the Christian world is the biggest threat to the church, which is true.
It's a huge one.
Also, somebody in the chat didn't send a super chat, but they did state the fact that we have to deport the closeted gays who give women what they want and give them opportunities and dreams.
Wait a second. Hold up. This was not a super chat?
What, that one?
Then you can't read it. Elijah, you got to hold the line, man. This is a business. You got to say, listen, you put some money behind that comment.
Yeah, hey, honestly, we will talk about the carjacking. We also have $2 from Primetime Pimp on Locals. By the way, tonight we have a Locals exclusive tonight. ElijahSchaefer.locals.com. We're really going to be promoting that tonight to join the Locals. We're not going to be doing a bunch of other ads. Join ElijahSchaefer.locals.com. Join the community. It's really important that you go there because I got my car jacked. So please go there. I feel like one of those like super chatters on like TikTok.
It's like, donate, please. Hey, who can win? Get us this galaxy with the thing on. Yeah.
Give me hey, bro, that's a serious question. You better give a $20 super chat if you want to ask that. Bro, give me a $100 super chat, bro, if you want to ask me about my weekend, bro. You want to hear about the carjacking? There's $2,000, bro.
There's a way of shilling, to be sure. And, I take it back. That was hypocritical. The whole goal of Rift is to be not a Zionist conservative.
Correct.
And here I am telling you to Jew it up. So I apologize.
I read good questions, but then again, listen to this. He said this, hello, Mr. Schaefer. I'm sorry to hear about the theft committed against you by the people that are our knees that grow. But I have some great news. My father is the owner of Rosenstein Used Cars, and we can set you up with a slightly used Nissan Altima for $1,100 a month with only 60 payments, 13% APR. Just don't ask us for the Carfax. Let us know when you can come in to sign the paperwork. You're welcome. By the way, I have so many people in my inbox I have to respond to tomorrow in the office that are trying to help me. And I already have lawyers and stuff that I'm going with. But just so you guys know, with the amount of stuff that I had to do, we'll talk about it, but I basically had to pull out a home loan to get out of the situation, remain insured, and be able to it's worse than the situation's way worse than you would think. So it's not even just like it affects, like the situation doesn't just affect me. It's like, it affects everything in my life with driving with the family. It's about whether or not I could drive and my family can be provided for. And I figured it out, and it was it's actually the most expensive decision I've ever made in my life, like quite frankly, in one moment. But part of being a man is, rather than crying saying you're a victim because you got some expensive venture, you go, I guess I'm just gonna have to figure out how to pay for this.
Correct.
That's kind of what it is. Like,
that's good. I'm glad you said that.
So it's like, hey, it's like if you have a kid, you don't go. It's like people are like, oh, kids are expensive. Yeah, once you have the kid, you figure out how to pay for them.
That's right.
So sometimes you get really expensive ventures in your face, and it's not like gambling. You wasted all your money, but even then, even through vice, man, prostitutes, gambling, all that stuff. Keep spending your money on that, guys. I'm kidding, no. But even if you make a mistake, you can actually rebound and go, well, I fucked up. And then what the guy told me today at the dealership, he said this. He said, hey, man, that's crazy. It's 24 hours later, and you're already like recovering the fumble. He goes, man, most people don't recover well. Right. And he goes, more often than winning, a great man is one who can recover from failures quickly, whether they were done against him or they're his own doing. The guys who can recover are the ones who make it, because you're going to fuck up, man. All the guys watching this, you're going to make mistakes. People are going to wrong you. Things are going to happen. You might have been like molested as a kid or something, which is like, you can't undo that. Like, that's like, there's things that have happened to you can't undo. And if you can't recover from that stuff, if you can't like figure out how to like, rebound and like, move up, then, quite frankly, you're never going to really make it, because, half the people you meet are just losers that made a mistake one time and they feel bad about it. So I can't ever be a Christian. And you're like, all right, loser.
No,
but anyway.
Right. You're right. I'm going to hold you to a promise, Elijah. Before we started, you gave me your word that you'd give me like 5 to 7 minutes.
Yeah, we're going to do the carjacking.
Okay.
We'll get to the carjacking.
Okay. All right.
That's going to be in the carjacking. Because
wait, hold up. I thought we already talked.
We didn't go into the.
We
just barely scratched the surface.
We just scratched. So the show does, whenever there's a topic, we just like mention things, and then we go into the story and explain it, and then we have an intellectual discussion.
I see.
About that. But we're at the 1 hour mark here. So usually what we do right here is we just go on like we're not doing. Okay, we need to stop doing this when everyone go on a break and then just everyone dips. It's like 3 minute break. So go pee, do what you need to do. We'll be right back. We got Joel Webbon here. You can follow him. He's on X. I think what is your
the handle is
phone?
at Right Response M, as in ministries, at Right Response M, and then we're also on YouTube if you just search Right Response Ministries.
Look at that picture of you too. I got this is pretty nice.
Where is it? I don't see it. It's not the most flattering, but okay. All right.
I like
I'll take it.
Yeah, you can watch us there. And then, of course, you have Braden Sorbo. You can find him online. We'll be right back in a few minutes. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Rumble, we'll be right back. So make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this video. We'll see you.
Really?
Yeah, but we don't care. Listen, this is like this is actually we're going to talk about a few things right now. I want to get into some discussion time on some things that have happened this week. You know, we usually save the personal stories for the second hour. We'll reference them in the first. Try to talk about news and more like concrete stuff. But I really do want to talk about so many aspects. Plus, later on, I've talked with Joel, and I really wanted to hear his opinion on race because he sort of got a lot of pushback recently from the Christian, non-Christian community. He reminds me of myself, but better at his job. So he's, he sort of gets attacked from his own side because he doesn't capitulate to what they want for him. He's sort of working on his own conviction, which he could be wrong, by the way.
I could be wrong, of course.
On plenty of things.
Of course.
But it's
Maybe
still,
not plenty of things.
Well,
Don't jump the gun.
You're taking a lot of liberty there. I mean, he could be wrong on everything. He probably is.
He could be. He might be a woman. We don't know. No, but I mean, to give him the benefit of the doubt, maybe I am wrong. However, I'm not going to just adopt your view so that you think I'm right, right? So that's the key thing is if I'm wrong, then I will discover and find out if I'm wrong, and I will adopt your views, not because you believe them, but begrudgingly because they're true. And I have no shame, and neither do you. But we also get attacked a lot from the left. However, I used to be one of the favorite right-wing watch poster childs for like 2 years, and now they only attack Christian people religiously, no pun intended. I want to talk to you guys about something kind of crazy. So I'll just go ahead and read the post here because I think that's probably fitting because it kind of got people's attention. People are getting really sick of crime. It's this new thing called black fatigue. And I posted this picture of my car down here. And I only posted that because I love that thing. As I mentioned earlier in the show, if you're just joining, it's not the nicest car in the world, like I have friends with a lot nicer cars. I wouldn't even call it really that nice of a car. However, growing up in poverty, growing up in, a pastor's home where we were, really tried to not be lavish, even though we didn't have money. It was, everything was looked down upon. I remember my mom got a 1993 BMW 3 Series, one of the coolest cars ever, in 2005. So it was like a 15-year-old car. And I remember the amount of people that gave her shit for it because she shouldn't own a BMW as a pastor's wife. And then I also remember going to private school, getting a grant, getting a scholarship. I remember getting picked up in a BMW 5 Series by my friend Aaron. And I remember sitting in it. I never went in one in my life like that. And I went, I'm going to own one of these one day. And as a man, people think it's materialism. No, you got to have goals for your life. You got to go, I want this standard of living for my family, right? There's nothing wrong with wanting a standard of living. Before we even talk about the carjacking, I wanted to bring that up with you. I wanted to talk about this. A lot of people, we live in a flexing culture where people try to get the best things. So I have friends who, make less money than myself, who own like Lamborghinis, and it's like 80% of their paycheck. It's like they pay like the $5,500 a month for the car payment, and they live in like a shitty apartment with like 5 people. You see that in the hood too, right? You see black guys with like nice Dodge Chargers, Challengers, and they live in like 8 people in like the hood, and you're like, okay, that doesn't matter. Flexing's gone out of control. However, I think there's an opposite problem in the conservative community and the Christian community, where there's this eschatological, we're not from this world, and where they kind of think money's bad, and they don't realize that you need money to have influence. That the key, every billionaire I've interviewed says that money is influence. Is that also for a standard of living for your family? Setting standards is good. I think it's sinful and wrong to then assume because someone doesn't live at the same physical standards or material standards as you that they're not hardworking or they're not good people or that changes the value of who they are. But I also feel like I was raised to think money is bad, that it's sinful to own nice things, and that again, I want to repeat this. Owning a nice BMW is not ostentatious. It's not like a flex. It's not like, oh, bro owns an Aston Martin or he owns a Rolls Royce. Like you're not owning something that's like out of reach, right? You're just owning something nice that's in reach that maybe is a financial choice. Some people don't think it's necessary. Some people do. But I feel like what's funny is when I made this post, I only bring this up because I noticed a lot of comments being like, basically like, you know, you don't need that stuff to be happy. I don't know why you care about that getting stolen. And I don't know why you care about this. Like, and I feel like the right and the Christian right needs to get back to realizing that if you're going to make Christian life seem appealing, maybe you don't want to just be fat, disgusting, and a slob. Maybe you also want to show people, like, again, by your life, not just your morals, but like, you know, part of morals is that you have self-control, and self-control should lead to what? To hard work and to dedication. Dedication should, in this country, lead to what? Some success. Doesn't mean you have to own a BMW, but you should at least show the fact you've got your finances in order. And I feel like there's a lot of people that are Christians that are bad credit, they're fat, they're lazy, and they cope by accepting it based on their religiosity. It's like, well, yeah, I'm a Christian. It's like, so what? You're gonna be ugly and poor because you're a Christian? Why wouldn't you be attractive and work out as attractive as you can be? I always call attractiveness the best you can look. So why don't you be the best you can be? Take care of yourself, have a good image of your family, and show the world that Christians aren't lazy, poor slobs, that we actually care about our families. We're not nerds. We don't just sit around. We actually do care. Again, I know the criticisms will say, oh, you're not supposed to live for this world, whatever. But I want to get your take on that. Like, what is it with evangelical Christians and this idea that we all have to be ugly and poor and fat and you know, I'm just saying, like, the middle America like image that the Democrats give us, right? Like, that's not who they are, but that's what they give us. Is it wrong as a Christian to like have money and work hard and enjoy your money to a level, set a standard for your own family? Like, should Christians have standards?
Yeah, of course it's not wrong. You guys know this, and I'm sure most of your listeners are aware of this as well. But money is not the root of all evil. It's the love of money. And even that, it's not that the love of money is the root of all evil. The text actually says that it's the love of money that is the root of all kinds of evil. So there are different categories of sin that can all stem from not money, but the love of money, namely greed. So greed can give birth to murder, right? It can give birth to theft. It can give birth to pride, all these different things. And we see that, you know, even in the book of James, where it says, why is there quarreling and strife and divisions among you? Is it not because you want, you desire, but do not have, right? So it's coveting that lends towards, you know, you want something, you don't have it, so you murder. You want something, you don't have it, so you steal. So that covetous heart, that greed heart is what lends towards all different kinds of evil. But this is what I've realized, you know, the older I get, there are some dirt poor people who are incredibly greedy. Mm-hmm. If you think that the rich,
the homeless people I know,
yeah, well, the guys who stole your car today, right? Like my point is that if you think that the rich have a monopoly on greed, then you're naive. Greed is not some particular, you know, sin that's somehow sequestered only to, you know, one type of person that's, you know, in a certain tax bracket. Greed is a sin that is common to men. In fact, if you're poor, you might actually have more of an inclination, more of a temptation towards greed than somebody who's rich. So you can be rich and greedy. You can be rich and not just have money, but love it, truly love it. But you can be poor and not have money and love it. You can love something you have, and you can love something that you wish you had. So I think that's important for people to keep in mind. That said, you know, you asked a number of questions. Everything you said was really well spoken. But it seemed like another one of your questions was why are Christians, and especially evangelicals today, why has poverty become almost a goal, right? Like it's almost like a badge of, you know, of approval. Like, hey, I'm holy, trust me. Well, how do I know? Because I'm poor. So how's it been twisted into becoming, you know, a positive, bragging rights? I think part of it, honestly, is our eschatology, right? So eschatology is just a reference to our doctrine or understanding of the end times. And most people today, especially among evangelicals, are Zionist, dispensational, premillennial Christians, right? So in a nutshell, the premillennial Zionist, especially, you know, like the dispensational premillennialists, they believe that the return of Christ will be relatively soon. Most of them, they tend to think that, you know, Jesus is going to come back next Thursday. But it's not just the timing of his return, but they also, in addition to that, they are convinced that the Bible explicitly teaches that things are fated, determined by God to only progressively get worse until Jesus returns. So they actually think that any attempt even of bettering the world or doing this or doing that is, in a sense, it's almost to work against Christ's return. Like, don't you love Jesus? Don't you want him to come back? Well, don't hinder him. Don't get in the way. Don't cause him to tarry. Let the world get as bad as it possibly can get, because that's ultimately going to be the catalyst that brings him back. That, of course, and the Jews. So we need good. But think about that for a second. Like, if we were to boil it down, and I don't think this is a straw man. I think this is fair. Okay, I'm going to put it in very simple terms, and some people won't appreciate the way that I'm framing it. But I do think that this is not a straw man. I think it's just a summary. In summary, two things have to happen for Jesus to return in the mind of the average dispensational, Zionistic, premillennial evangelical. Two things: good things for Israel and bad things for us. Things have to get worse for the world, but better for Israel. And then Jesus comes back. And then you look at all of our politics and you're like, oh, it's not that we've given up on religion that caused us politically to arrive where we are today. We're actually very religious people. This isn't where you end up politically despite religion. This is where you end up politically because of religion. So the problem is not that we're not religious. It's not whether but which. Every society will be religious, right? Even secular humanism is a religion. It has sacraments, abortion, transgenderism, and all these. It has its high priestess, and priests, Dr. Fauci, so every culture is religion. That's what culture is. Cultus, it comes from the Latin, which is worship. So we're people. We're made in the image of God. We are inherently worshipers. Like Bob Dylan, a prophet, once said, everybody's going to worship something, right? You got to worship something. And so it's not that we've abandoned religion. We just have the wrong one. And I would go so far. I'm not just trying to be, an edgelord. I would go so far as to say that that if you are dispensational, premillennial Zionist, and in that you have concluded that the best thing for the world is the return of Christ, which I agree, but what's going to spur on his return is Israel's betterment and everybody else's detriment, I would say that is another religion. That is something. Judeo-Christianity is another religion.
Yeah, I would say that anything like, that's why I always say Americans who are black versus African Americans is the same way of saying like the N-word versus just a black person, right? Like if you're an American, I think Americans, when you put the hyphen, there's something different. Judeo-Christianity is weird too, because what I notice is that just like the Bible says, like you can't serve two masters. When people, it's not just, it's actually, we should, I think you call it hyphenated Christianity.
Can I say something I've never said publicly? Super short, and because you're cooking.
Please.
And I'm sorry.
No, please
honestly,
go.
I should be punished. You never stop a man when he's cooking.
No,
Let
please.
the man cook. Real quick, because you said hyphenated, just made me think. So I have not said this publicly. It'll be the first time I'm announcing it. But right now, if we stay on track, the launch date will be January, year of our Lord, 2026, Lord willing. But I'm actually going to be publishing with a friend of mine as co-authors a book that's going to be called The Hyphenated Heresy, and the subtitle is going to be Judeo-Christianity. And so
I like it,
and I think it's going to be good.
We should read that for our book club. By the way, the book club's not gone. We've had to change our whole structure of the show. We're a brand new network. The book club's coming back. We have to finish the last few chapters of the book. So don't think it went away. We're still doing that. It's just things have changed, and I've had to travel around the world and meet with very, very weird people and cool people to try to make this stuff happen. And unlike Sorbo over here, my knees were not bruised and hurt when I had to do those meetings.
Hey, you got to get ahead somehow.
Well, it was a head, not get head.
Yeah, but
not give head.
But not if
get
you're
ahead, not
Kevin
give it.
Sorbo's son.
Yeah,
you don't have to do that. Elijah might, but not you. You're
True.
good.
That's what my
I
dad
might be
did.
doing it to get ahead. I'm
That's-
just doing it because I'm enjoying it. But okay, yeah. But I was saying, like, with the hyphenated stuff, it's important because I want to jump into the carjacking story. So, what's crazy is let's listen to how many things fell into place here. And this is a reminder to guys: if you have intuition, move on it. This is your answer. You've been praying, asking God. If you have intuition on something that you feel like you should be doing that's risky or doesn't make a lot of sense or maybe costs money, move on it, because it's probably God working through your natural masculinity to help you. Because, look, I never wanted to move to Delray Beach because I lived in Boca Raton because there's too many blacks in Delray. And I literally go, I don't want to move. And also, I want to remind you, I moved into a house instead of a condo because my wife wanted... I'm not going to throw her under the bus here, but just track with me here. She wanted to move in a house. And I go, look, I don't know. Like, the homes here are expensive. They're about an entry-level home is about $8,500 a month. Move into like a 3-4 bedroom, 2-bath, 1-story house. I don't want to move into a house. It's just too much money. I'd rather live in a nice condo with an armed garage. Why? I go, because I have a nice car, and people steal cars. I've been carjacked before. There's a lot of blacks in the area. That's what I told her. You got to be honest with your woman. There's a lot of blacks that live around here, and they steal cars. It's just, they might steal them for Russians. They might steal them for Kazakhs. There might be a bigger thing, but the guys who steal the cars, a lot of these white guys are too high profile. They don't want to be seen stealing cars. And so, I begrudgingly moved to a home. I have to move to a townhome because, $8,500 is a little too, I just don't want to spend that on renting a house. It's stupid. So we move into the place. I explain, hey, look, I look and look and look and look. I look in it's called the green zone here. It's like a strip of land on the east side of life. All the coast is nice. If you go over the freeway, it's not nice. And I said, I want my business, everything in this zone. This is where Ben Shapiro lives here, by the way, right here, right? Ben Shapiro lives here. Daily Wire's right here. Newsmax is right here, right? It's all here. It's like living in LA. I mean, it's not hard to find. And I, bring my car. I had 2 other places I wanted to move before them, but they were Jews and they wouldn't rent to me because they didn't want to rent to me because of who I am. So they were Jews. They discriminate against the Fair Housing Act because Jews don't follow the law and they don't get held to accountability in real estate. But that's another story. And they don't rent to me, so I get into a place. It's overpriced. It's South Florida, and it should be safe, right? This is the only crime in my entire neighborhood was 2 years ago. It was a domestic violence suit, and that's not really crime. It's just like a bad relationship, right? It was some sort of battery or something. But there's been no like serious crime in about 10 years in the whole neighborhood. And when I'm not going to go through the whole thing I mentioned earlier, but when I woke up and saw my car gone, I knew it was gone. And I was like, what's going on? So I grabbed my Glock 19, cocked that shit, fucking bought an extra mag, put it in my like a freaking black, put it in my waistband, got in an Uber with a third world country Iranian, and went down with where I saw my GPS tracker. I said my car was somewhere. I show up. It's the projects. We're in the projects, okay? We're in the projects. There's a lot of people that don't change their smoke alarm batteries, And it's like LaQuisha's out there going, yelling. There's kids naked running in the streets, like just, exactly what you'd expect where you find your car. So people ask me, how do I know it was them? That's how I know it was them. That was where I was last seen, okay? There was nobody had a battery in their smoke alarm in that building, okay? In that entire area. It was like 300 like 300 units, and it was all the same people. My car's gone. I call the police. I get an officer. Shout out to Delray Police Department. I call Boca. They're like, hey, I'm not Jewish enough to talk on the phone here. No, but they transfer me to Delray, and I tell them what's going on. I'm like, hey, my car's been stolen. You know what they do to me? They tell me like, are you sure? I go, yes. And they go, you weren't partying a little too hard last night? Forgot where your car was? I go, dude, you think I'm not that good at partying? I'm so good at partying. I have a GPS on my car, so in case that happens, I know where it is. I'm standing in the parking spot where my GPS is, and there's a Dodge Charger next to it. She's like, what does that mean? I go, okay. There's a Dodge Charger next to where my car was parked. Do we not know what that means here? Do we not know what that means? And she's like, I don't know what that means. I go, could you please send an officer? Well, he'll meet you at your house. I show up. Great officer. A nice guy, he wasn't working on Saturday. That's all I'll say. So he was working on Sunday, right? He wasn't a Saturday worker. He wasn't a guy that liked to work on Saturdays. I'm just saying. Like Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk doesn't like to work on Saturdays. He liked to work on Saturdays. Shows up and is like, and he does the same thing to me. He's like, hey, so your car got stolen? Did it really? And I go, yeah, dude, it got stolen. He's like, are you sure about that? You go, I'm like, looking at him like, what the hell's going on? I go, yes. So we go to the back of my house, and I'm like, let's just meet out here and let's talk. My wife was at church. They were at mass, and I had to go, I couldn't go to church. God forgive me, I couldn't go to church because black people. And so I go, and I'm back in the back, and he goes, you seem like pretty frantic. Are you okay? I go, no, dude, my car got stolen. Like, no, I'm not okay, man. What are you asking, man? I just took a gun and say that to him, but I'm like, well, yeah, I just went down there to get business done. I thought I was gonna shoot someone, I just went down there, and he goes, so I go, yeah, I have before. Why? And he's like, here? I go, no, not in this country, dude. In other countries, Like, what am I tell police officers I had coke in this country? It's like other countries. Oh, well. Tell me this. So, like, you didn't party a little hard too much last night? Go to a area, you have a bad deal, they take your car. I go, bro, how much coke would you have to do to owe them a 6-figure car? Like, what are you talking about? He's like, I go, bro, it was like a drug den where I found the car. He's like, that's what I'm saying, man. I'm just saying, look, I'm not gonna voice it. I'm like, dude, hey, bro. What side are you on, man? What side are you on? I'm showing you the coordinates. I'm showing you where it's at. You really fucking think a guy like this who lives in this neighborhood is like, use your brain, bro. These guys would deliver to me anyways, right? Not that I know that, but they would. And so it's like, no, but you're going to this, and you're sitting there, and he's like, I just want to say never, but pretty much say never getting this car back. And I go, damn, he goes, it's probably on a boat, already somewhere. He goes, dude, it has 7,000 miles on it. It's crazy. 7,000 miles. And
hey, real quick.
Yeah.
Is this the car that we were going to borrow?
Yes.
Yeah. So now I care.
Yeah.
I'm personally invested in this.
That was going to be your car.
That was going to be my car.
Now
They
he's
stole that
invested.
from me.
0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds. It was going to be your car.
Hey, well, you know what? One of our guys, I'm not the biggest Tesla fan. Okay. Like Elon, he could be the savior, but he could also destroy everything.
I know they're faster.
It's faster.
1.9, right?
Yeah, it's like
For the Plaid,
I
under
think it's
2.
2.2.
However, I'll say this. I hate EVs.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
So fair enough. You guys are cool. You can have your car, but also when you feel the vibration
Of a
you
motor.
become like a woman, a toy. Feels good.
That's why I have a truck.
Yeah, well, but jokes aside, I call insurance. So I call insurance, and we'll get a discussion on a race here. I call insurance. I'm like, hey, Geico, my car's been stolen. And they go, oh, we just canceled your policy this month. I go, oh.
Dude, when I saw that, I felt so bad, man. I'm really sorry. That's terrible.
Yeah, they canceled my policy this month. And I asked them why. And they go, well, you didn't update your wife's American driver's license. I go, even the guy goes, they didn't auto-renew your policy? I go, apparently not. I go, you didn't auto-renew? And they go, no, because you had to update your wife's American driver's license. I go, I've had insurance for 12 years or whatever. Like, we've never had to do this. Why did it happen now? It's like, well, we sent a letter to you. And I go, I have paperless selected. Why would you send me a letter? Did you email me? He goes, no. I go, did you call me? He goes, no. We have too many customers. We can't call and email people. I go, but you can send a physical letter and put an envelope, put stamps and mail it. He goes, yeah. I go, can I get the letter? He's like, no. I go, how do you? I never received it. I'm going to clarify right now for legal reasons. I'm genuine. I've never received a letter. I go, but let me ask you this. When did you send it? He's like, oh, May 22nd. I go, he goes, and by June 22nd, we would cancel your insurance policy, your wife's insurance policy. If I have to get the letter, because I'm going to find out if they said her policy or mine or both. Like, this is very key wording.
Yeah.
And they're insurance companies, just like banks. They probably did cross their T's and dot their I's. So I'm probably screwed. But I go, okay, but my wife couldn't get her. She's studying right now for her driver's license test. She's legally operating on her international driver's license because a Lake Worth person, while we were sitting at the dog park.
My wife right now is studying for her driver's license. It will be years.
Yeah.
Before.
Yeah, I don't think you understand.
It'll be years. It'll be years. No, but I said we were sitting in Texas at a dog park in Frisco, by the way, and then we hear a break, and this guy who's a Lake Worth person, a scholar and engineer, a guy that doesn't know how to change batteries, is like reaching in our car and ripping her bag. By the way, which was it was a gift I got for her. It was a Saint Laurent like purse. The purse itself was worth more than what was inside. And I asked her, please don't tell me your green card was in there. Because remember, these things take years to replace. Please don't tell me. And so we've been waiting since 2022 for a replacement green card, which I paid for, which were fine for years, because the federal government's run by black people. In the same people run the government there, and foreigners, to prove residency, and you have to have that to get the license, which you should be here. You shouldn't be able to get a license without proving residency. And so, just to put it in perspective, I left California because of left-wing fucking crime and what was happening there with COVID, after getting carjacked and home invaded, and just COVID was the seal in the deal. Go to Texas, get the car broken into by the same people that home invaded and carjacked in California, get something stolen, have the same people make it take years to get your data. Don't get the letter, because I talked to Jeets. It's Jeets running the online, perspective. I'm gonna let you guys, I know this is a long rant, but this is the story. And then you find out after your car's been stolen from your front driveway that it's not covered. And it gets even worse. We have camera system. I shouldn't say, but one of these same people who runs the camera system said that they just didn't have them activated, which is crazy. And then you go to the dealership and you find a bunch of Cubans, which are nice people, by the way. I'm not gonna say anything bad. We'll just say good people.
Cubans are cool.
But you put it into perspective here. I get a rental car today after getting my car jacked, and a person who didn't know the number 8 in English gives me a EV. I show up to the BMW dealership to try to figure this out. The car dies. It has a malfunction. I get another Lake Worth person come to fix it, tells me to run it for 10 minutes. So I run for 12 minutes around the block, show up to the bank to get a cashier's check. It has the same problem at the bank. Get on the phone with a guy named like Steven telling me, no, it has to be like 45, 50 minutes. Who told you 10 minutes? I go, the fucking dude, the Lake Worth guy. He told me 10 minutes. He's like, well, that's bad info, man. I go, why are you giving me bunk cars? I curse him out on the phone, tell him like, dude, I'm done with this. So they're telling me I'm liable. I get a call from the tow truck guy who's telling me to wait for 2 hours. He's like, hello, this is Schaefer. What the hello? You're like, dude, I don't have time for your fucking Chinese shit or whatever the fuck that is. And then you go back and you sit there and you go, man, I don't know what country I live in. I don't live in a Western country. And when Ryan Mata says on the chat, this wouldn't happen in America, I'm gonna tell you, I was at $104,000 from this incident with what was stolen. I lost $104,000 today, and that should make everybody mad, because that's how you get raises. So I pay for this company out of pocket. I have investors and people as well, but $104,000 is money you're not getting, right? Yeah. It's money you're not getting. It's the money the employees are not getting. It's raises you're not getting. It's stolen money. And because my money is liquid, it's like I don't just spend on myself. I wasn't planning on spending $104,000 anytime soon, And so that's like essentially company money taken from the company. And to find out, here's the best part, here's like icing on the cake. Because there was a 45-day gap on insurance, which was 15 days more than the 30, which Geico did not tell me, and I can guarantee they did not tell me about this. And by the way, they canceled my insurance too. Why not just my wife's? They canceled both of us. But then when I went to go get insurance on the car, it's 4 times the rate of my other car that I got today. And guess who's the only person who will insure me? Geico. Nobody else will because of the gap. And they said, well, I said, why is it 4 times the rate? They go, oh, because you had a gap in your insurance. And I go, it's your gap. He's like, guys, oh, I'm sorry, you have a gap in your insurance. I go, it's your fucking gap, dude. You're the ones who canceled my policy and didn't alert me paperlessly. You're the ones who didn't call me. Don't you think you should tell someone that don't you think you would have decency to say, hey man, like, yo, you're gonna get evicted from your house, or we're canceling your insurance, like this is serious, you might be liable for millions of dollars of damages. Like, don't the decency is like, oh, sorry, we do not have policy to call you. Your fucking policy, you stupid idiot. It's all about policy, and society to them, our white society, is about rules and things on paper. None of it's mental, none of it's spiritual, none of it's emotional. It's all just what I'm been told to do, sir. And it's, for us, this is our life, our way of life. So I'm mad because I lost my down payment that I was going to buy a house with because a black person stole my car and a Jeep didn't care to tell me about my insurance, all because a black person stole my wife's wallet, all because I left California because it's been run over by minorities and it's unsafe. It's like, what the fuck country do I live in? What's going on here? And you know what? For the people in the comments that are like, oh, well, you're wealthy. I'm not wealthy, okay? You know, $100,000 is a lot of money to me. It's like to anyone, it's a lot of money. Yeah. And even if you were wealthy, how do you get wealthy? By making sure that $100,000 is a lot of money to you. You don't, that's like, you know, this is devastating financially to me. And then you have blacks in the comments being like, well, maybe this is karma. No, it's because you guys commit crimes and we suffer from them. You know, the guy didn't get stabbed in the face, preventing you from raping the girls because of karma. Because you guys are animalistic in your behavior societally, and it's disgusting, and we're tired of it. And I feel like I want to go to Joel and get your response on this. I am really trying to not hate people, and they're making it really damn hard. And like I mentioned through the show, you know, I don't have any nerves in my face. I have, you know, traumatic experiences. I've seen many people get killed. You know, people don't know, if you're new to the show, I used to be an investigative journalist, you know, field reporter. I have a lot of resentment, and I just lost $104,000, and even worse, to put in matters worse, in order to save my insurance and to save this, I had to buy a car, not even lease. I had to go buy a car today that was more of the value, because in order to save the loan from defaulting on the lease, I have to get a new car anyways. But so I don't have money for a new car and also, you know, this other car. But in order to balloon the payments, you have to buy a car 30% more than the other car in order to balloon the payments together. So I just walked out with a mortgage today on cars, which is insane. Also and if I didn't get insurance today, then it would, if you get 60 days, I wouldn't ever be able to be insured again. I couldn't drive for my family. So in order to like be insured, I had to buy an expensive car for myself, plus pay for another car that was only a few months old, all because, and by the way, and yeah, again, there was GPS in the car, they took it out. I had a second tracking in the device, they found it, they took it out. Don't give me your bullshit. You know, I took precautions. I had insurance. I'm a nice neighborhood, I had security systems, whatever. It's like, I don't know how I can live like this. I don't know, is it wrong that I hate these people? Because I'll just say for YouTube, I don't hate them, but for Rumble, I'll say I do. And I don't know what your opinion is on these people, but like, I'm heated, man. I'm fucking pissed, man.
I get it. So I have a position, and I'd love to share it, but it takes me a couple minutes. And so, Braden, I don't want to keep you hanging too much. Do you have like more of just a response in relation to what Elijah said?
Yeah, maybe just weigh in for a second.
I'll let you go first, and then I can give my spiel.
Sure, I'll give a quick response before your spiel.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's really tough because we are supposed to righteously hate sin. Mm-hmm. And so I'll phrase it like this, and I'll make it quick so that Joel can go. The teaching of the church is on the matter of human dignity is ingrained in everybody upon the moment of conception. We are all created equal in the eyes of a creator. However, in a fallen, sinful world, there are inherent differences in how people behave or act or treat one another. And we have to be willing to take that into account, because if we're not, then we're no better. And so underneath the banner of Christ and Christendom, those differences can disappear. But when you separate Christ from the world, those differences are supposed to be taken into account. And it doesn't mean that you're supposed to instinctively hate every single person that you walk by, but we also have to understand that stereotypes do exist for a reason, right? Stereotypes exist. And as someone who started in comedy, every joke has an ounce of truth. That's what makes jokes funny, is because they're based on even just the slightest iota of truth. And so when we look at this from a top-down perspective, and obviously as someone who isn't in the exact same situation, there's certain things that I could say that, you know, probably don't relate to you whatsoever. But I view it from the position of, yes, we can understand that there are intrinsic differences between people, and we can also understand that none of these people have Christ, and therefore will be completely different and foreign to us. It's the whole idea of being overrun by aliens, right? Like the Deuteronomy 28 reference from earlier, like how you referenced Ruth. There are differences, and unless people are willing to capitulate and kneel before Christ and submit to Christendom, they are not the same. That's just the fact. And that I yield the time to you, good sir.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I appreciate it. So I'm not a race essentialist because I don't think that race is the quintessential category. I don't think that it's the top, and I don't think it's exclusive. But I do think that it's real and that it matters. So I prefer, using a label like a race realist would be fine. I'm not a race essentialist. I'm not also a racial determinist. I don't think that it's written in the stars. I don't think that it always has to be a certain way. And so that's somewhat similar to what you were saying, Braden. The position that I've come to, and this is not like just, cards on the table, full disclosure. This is not like, oh, this has been my position for 15 years. No, I'm learning in real time, and so I admit that up front. I'm learning just like everybody else. These are conversations that we weren't allowed to have, and not just like once upon a time. We weren't allowed to have these conversations like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and so this is very new, where you hear guys talking about these kinds of things, and then reading certain literature and starting to carve out your position and those kinds of things. And so a lot of this is a recent development. And I admit that. That said, basically the position I've come to is this. I think that religion is paramount. So I think it's religion first, and then I think that race is up there. I don't think that it trumps religion, so I'm not a racial essentialist. I think that religion trumps race, but race is real and race is significant. It's a real category, and it's a category that matters. Now, that said, my position is that I root a lot of racial distinctions. Some of this will be offensive, but I think it's fair, and I think that it's I think it's thought out. I root a lot of racial distinctions that we see today in religion. So I think there's two separate categories, but they play into one another. For instance, every major world religion, Christianity included, speaks not just to the eternal, the ultimate, the spiritual, but speaks to the physical, right? So even within Christianity, if you don't think that the Bible has anything to say about physical man, then you would be a heretic. You would be a Gnostic, right? You've completely severed any tangible, physical, temporal emphasis of the Christian faith to where it's merely spiritual, right? Where all of Christianity is just dealing with the 17th dimension. Well, that's not just a bad view. That is a heresy. That's Gnosticism. And so even Christianity, every major world religion, including Christianity, speaks to the physical, including, and you could also even argue almost especially biology. So what do I mean by that? Every major world religion deals with dietary restrictions, capital punishment for crime. And I'm going to use a word because I'm not trying to be unnecessarily offensive, but I'm trying to drive the point home. And so I'm going to use this word. Every major world religion has a eugenics program, including Christianity. It's not whether but which. Every society has it, whether it's religious or not. And go back to a previous point that I made in the first segment of the show. Every society is religious. That's also a not whether but which. So it's which religion you're going to have, not whether you're going to have one. You're going to have a religion, and every religion has a eugenics program. So what do I mean by that? Well, like, read the Old Testament and all the Levitical code. It's like you sleep with somebody too closely related to you, your name is cut off from the line of Israel. You sleep with somebody too far, who worships foreign gods, a foreigner, your line is cut off from Israel. You eat too much shellfish, believe it or not, your line is cut off from Israel. And then you get into ethics, right? You murder someone, your line is cut off from Israel. And according to Mosaic code, it's not just capital, crimes in the way that we think of them today in terms of like murder. You break the Sabbath, your line is cut off from Israel. You sleep with another dude, your line is cut off from Israel. So what are you weeding out? This has a biological effect. What would happen? Think about this. What would happen over 30, 40, 50 subsequent generations, biologically, genetically speaking? All the fags, gone. All the murderers, low impulse control, gone. All the people breaking dietary, right? So there's a group of people who eat cow. There's another group of people who worship cow and use cow dung. Right? Does that not have an effect?
Canadians.
That's right. Canadian politicians. But does that not, think about that for a second. Just diet alone, right? Apart from capital punishment, apart from, in terms of marriage restrictions, right? Like too closely related to fur. Think just for a moment just about dietary restrictions. How much the Old Testament says about what you eat, right? And we all say, and nobody said, you're racist. But we all say, as a matter of fact, you are what you eat. There is a scientific, genetic truth to that, right? Your body is composed of what you choose to eat over years and years and years and years. Your cells are replicating, right? And your nutrition or lack thereof, like you can use grok, which is totally liberal, but you could use grok or you could use GPT. I've done it for fun on both of them and say, hey, why has America gone up, right? Not down, right? Because you could blame immigration and the average being lowered. Like we have gone down in IQ in the last 10, 15 years, somewhat. But if you track back, and I would say part of that's immigration, but if you track back 100 years, you look at like 1915, 1920 and say, what has happened to IQ in America in the last 100, 105 years? We've gone up almost a full standard deviation, the average. Well, what accounts for that? Ask Grok, ask ChatGPT. They're going to say education and nutrition. Okay, so now it won't give you the answer if you keep begging the question, but you can do it yourself. We're logical people. We can follow reason. What if there was a particular type of person, if nutrition, good nutrition, can raise a full standard deviation, a whole nation's IQ? What would happen if there's a particular people who for centuries are malnourished and eating, or at least using to cook cow dung and eating with their hands and germs and this and that and all these different kinds of things? Like, and then on top of that, like there's certain crime and there's also like, let's think of Somalia, right? So it's like, okay, give India a rest. Let's give them a break for a second. What about Somalia? Like you can look this up. Why do Somalians, right? They don't just look like, the typical African. Why do Somalians look very unique from like virtually every people on the planet? Well, there's a lot of inbreeding generationally. It may not be happening today, but for a long time, multiple subsequent generations, they were marrying too closely related. And that has an effect. It has an effect on their physical appearance, right? It has an effect on intelligence. So here's my point. It's like, oh man, well that's so rude, or you're being right. No, look, what I'm doing is I'm not trying to just account for low IQ. I'm trying to give glory to God and his mercy and grace for any society, which predominantly has been Western societies traditionally, that have high IQ. Oh, well, it's just because Westerners are just innately better. We just fell from the heavens. The white man he just fell from the heavens and he was always great. And he did it in his own power, in his own strength. No. We are sitting, and you have to recognize this, historically speaking, we in America and in many European countries, we are sitting on the precipice of a millennia. Arguably, if we go back to Constantine, that's King Alfred. If we go back to Constantine, a millennia and a half of Christendom. And what are the effects of Christendom? It's nutrition, it's diet, it's weeding out the most degenerate of your population through capital punishment. It's being careful not to intermarry. Here's another one. What about polygamy? Polyamorous. Like Western Christian societies have been strictly monogamous, right? And raising your kids and not pawning them off on someone else. And so there's all these different things. And so what does it come from? Well, it comes from the innate glory of the white man. No, it comes from the superiority of the Christian faith. We have, I believe, and I'm not trying to be prideful, I believe that we have in Western society some of the best people in the world because we have historically worshiped the best God in the universe with the best religion, a superior religion with superior laws, with a superior playbook for how to live in the world that God built in a way that honors him, in a way that doesn't seek to go against the grain of nature, but goes with nature in the natural order that God created. Now, so all that being said, I actually believe, and it's not a Jesus juke, I'm not trying to over spiritualize or be a Gnostic like what I just condemned earlier on. I really believe that you can draw a correlation from worship to biology, to genetics. Now, this is not a 15-minute scenario. So it's not, hey, I'm going to adopt, 3 Haitian boys and I'm going to, they're going through good Christian parenting. They're going to raise, 2 standard deviations in their lifetime. No, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work that way, right? Because that's not how it happened with white people. It took centuries. It took centuries. Now, here's one added thing, because some of the ethno-pagan nationalists, right? They'll kind of, they'll. I was going to say respectfully disagree. They probably won't be respectful. They'll disagree, vehemently disagree. And they'll say, well, how do you account for Greece? What about the Romans? What about a pre-European Christian era? And what I would say with that, and this bothers people, but I want you to see my heart in this, right? Not trying to be gay, talking to a dude talking about his heart, but really, I want you to see my motive in this as a pastor and as a Christian. I'm trying to account for something that is obvious. The time, it's not 2017 anymore. The time of taking obvious differences and distinctions between race and sweeping it under the rug and just saying, oh, it's just culture. It's just that darn hip hop, like that ship has freaking sailed, right? Can we all admit that? So we have to give a real answer to this question. And so for me as a Christian minister, I'm trying to give a real answer, but I'm trying to root it in the Bible. So I think if we're looking at today, and if we're looking at, recent 1800s, 1900s, and we're looking at the pinnacle of Christendom, and we're comparing that to sub-Saharan Africa or India, or it's like, well, there's a bunch of smart people in India, because there's 1.3 billion people. But, right, we can do per capita. We understand per capita. Per capita, America has far more legitimate genius level intellects than India and virtually any place in the world, save certain European countries that are also predominantly white. Them's the facts, right? Them's the facts. That doesn't mean there aren't geniuses in China, but there's a crap ton of people. It doesn't mean there aren't geniuses in India, crap ton of people. Per capita, right? Talking about per capita, it is the West. It has been the West for centuries. Now, how do you account for pre-Christendom Western societies like Greece and like the Romans still being objectively superior than the entire rest of the world, bar none? And what I would say with that, rooting it in Scripture, is there was a guy, if we believe the Bible, named Noah. He had 3 sons. Everyone else is wiped out with a worldwide flood. I'm one of those fuddy-duddies who actually takes the Bible literally. I believe it. So there's 3 guys now, his 3 sons, that are going to repopulate the whole earth. And God, through Noah, because of the sin of one of those sons, pronounces blessings and cursings. One of those sons is blessed. And then another son is going to be blessed, but at a lower level, a servant in Japheth's house. And then Ham, he's cursed. Now, people will point, say, oh, it's the curse of Canaan. It's his son, right? Noah's grandson, Ham's son. And that's true. The text says, cursed be Canaan. There's different interpretations with this, right? So some say, well, there's a general curse for Ham. Luther argued this. General curse for Ham, particular curse for Canaan. And that came to pass because Joshua wiped out all the Canaans, right? They were particularly cursed. But there seems to be, some kind of general curse for Ham. But take that aside for a second. There's certainly a blessing for Japheth. And so what I would argue, this is my position, I would argue that I think the Romans and the Greeks are descendants down the line, way down the line, from Japheth. Now, I believe, last thing, this gets to the racial determinist piece, which I'm not. I believe I'm post-millennial in my eschatology. And I love Christmas because everybody becomes a post-millennial at Christmas. So one famous Christmas hymn is, he comes to make his blessings flow as far as the curse is found. I believe in the finished work of Jesus, in his life, death, and resurrection and ascension. I believe that he broke every single curse, including whatever curse there may have been related to Canaan exclusively or Canaan specifically and Hamites generally. I believe that curse was broken. Here's the deal, though. It takes time for the news, the good news, the gospel of Christ's victory over death and over sin and over curses for sin. It takes time for that news to reach people. So think of Juneteenth, right? I'm not a Juneteenth celebrator, but think of Juneteenth for a moment.
Too much of that.
Juneteenth is celebrated in Texas, where I'm from, by some people because it was the date where, even though slavery had already been abolished, it took several years for the news to reach certain slaves in Texas. So they're actually already free in theory, but not in practice. Well, I think it took a long time. We know this historically. There are many places in sub-Saharan Africa, for example, that the gospel did not even reach them until maybe 190, 200 years ago. Fairly recently, if you're thinking the work of Christ 2,000 years ago, and then 1,800 years before they hear about it. So this is what I would say with some of these places in the world that are demonic, like India. Well, part of the reason you're struggling is you're worshiping demon gods. You're worshiping sand demons, right? And then some of these other places like, well, Joel, but Haiti is Christian. Well, this is what I would say for Haiti. Number one, you guys might not like this. Haiti is Catholic. And Catholicism, historically speaking, politically, usually works with an integration. It's integralism. So it'll take the prior dominant ethos and culture and religion of a people and kind of integrate with it. And so a long time before Catholicism came on the scene in Haiti, you had voodoo as a national religion. And there was a syncretizing of that even in Mexico, right? A Mexican Catholic living in Mexico is very different than an American Catholic, right? Like there's more, it's more of a superstitious kind of Catholicism, like Day of the Dead and some of these kinds of things are a bigger deal than they might be in a Western Catholic country. And so I think there's some element of that in Haiti. So Catholicism is part of it, but now that's enough, critique of Catholicism. But here's the biggest thing. It's a recent endeavor. Haiti was not Christianized in, 1,500 years ago, like with Constantine. So part of what I would say is let them cook. And let them cook over there in Haiti. Let the gospel do its work, and let's give it 1,500 years, right? Let's give it some time, just like it took in the West. And I would say that these individuals may be starting from a disadvantage in the sense that, again, looking at the Greeks and the Romans, part of the reason why Christendom took such root in the West is the Christian gospel came to Europe early. That's part of it. But also, when it came, it found people that were pagans, yes. But by and large, you look at the Greeks, you look at the Romans, you look at even Nordic tribes, the Celtics, they were, even before Christianity entered the fray, they were mostly monogamous. Whereas many people in Africa, many people in Asia were polygamous. And yet it's like, whoa, these Western guys, even pre-Christ, were monogamous. They had certain framework in their society to where when Christianity came, the framework was already, it wasn't Christian, it was pagan, but it was conformed, at least more conformed to God's natural order. Not Christian, but still a natural theology. There was more of a natural theology instinctively at work among some of these Westerners pre-Christendom than there was in other parts of the world. And so then I'm, again, as a Christian minister, I'm just trying to account for that. And the only thing that I can think of to account for it is maybe these guys descended from one individual that was blessed by God through his father Noah, and other guys might have descended from someone who was less blessed or cursed. And again, not a racial determinist. I think that Christ broke the curse. And I believe that by God's grace, that a nation, if they worship the Lord Jesus Christ and follow his precepts in the scripture for not 15 minutes, but for generations and generations, eventually I do believe that things could improve. And I believe that if the West completely apostatizes from Christ, for centuries, 30, 40, 50 subsequent generations, for centuries or a millennia, and we completely reject Christ, and some other place in the world for a millennia is worshiping Christ and seeking to obey Christ, and because the curse has been broken in the finished work of Christ 2,000 years ago, I think that the tables could eventually turn. So again, not a racial determinist, and also not a racial essentialist, religion first, and race would be a little bit lower down the totem pole. But I am a race realist. It is real. There are differences. They do matter. And when we're thinking about who should live in a Western country, we absolutely should be considering religion. Do they love Jesus or do they worship sand demons? And we should be considering race. Are these people compatible with Western principles that took us a long time? This just didn't happen overnight. It took us a long time to develop. Or are these people going to come and eat people's pets.
Can I ask you?
I think that's a fair position, right?
I want to discuss on locals this exact topic because for Christians that think that you shouldn't, take race into account, the Bible takes gender into account, right? In terms of like, okay, you're both Christians, but there's a big difference between being a man and a woman in terms of leadership. Let's not even get stupid about like, well, men are stronger than women. Like, we already know that. It's like, no, there's just like, dude, I love good women, but dude, they drive me nuts, man. And, I think the Bible's very clear. Women are oftentimes their own worst enemy. They have told each other the pixie haircut is a good thing. A pixie haircut, you look like a 12-year-old boy. And, unless you're a Muslim in Afghanistan, you might not be into 12-year-old boys. You know what I mean?
Or someone in the Brooklyn tunnels.
True. But then they'll make a Catholic reference. But I will say, jokes aside, we have to look at other aspects because, it's like imagine being like, oh, dude, our country should only be Christians, and it's like a bunch of Down syndrome people, and they're Christian, and you're like, okay, so we want a bunch of Down syndromes. Like, you use any other descriptor than race, everyone agrees. Like, you want a bunch of Down syndromes running America, and it's like, well, but they're God's people, okay, but they're retarded. That's why we have the phrase retard, and they can't run the country. And it's like, our military should just be Christian. Okay, so you want quad amputees running the country?
We have to be able to think in categories. There's the natural, there's the spiritual, there's the temporal, there's the eternal. So we have to be able to say, like, so for me, it's like, would you rather live in Christian Haiti or Mormon Utah? I would rather be in Mormon Utah.
Yeah,
that's right. Now, that said, I'm not making a statement and saying that Christian Haiti can never, by the grace of God, improve. But I'm looking at Christian Haiti, and I'm looking at the physical implications of Christian Haiti today. Right? So if we're saying 500 years from now, well, I'd need a time machine. I need to see how to have they done in the last 500 years. Let's check it out.
But it's more than that, because I'm saying, like, it's just common sense. It's like, hey, man, race essentialism is important because Talmud Tatum, they call him these days, right? He's on a generational crash out. I'd use the phrase generational run for Fuentes, and they adopted that. That's a good phrase. Tatum's on a generational crash out.
Who is this?
Brandon Tatum, black guy.
Brandon Tatum, yeah.
Oh.
Former police
Cop.
officer, Turning Point guy.
No.
We used to speak together on a public stage. We used to speak at Turning Point events together. Yeah.
How's he crashing
He wrote
out?
the foreword for my first book.
Because did he really?
For the first book I
Oh,
wrote,
holy shit, man! You should
take it off.
Yeah.
I know, literally.
He's just like running cover for the wall. Some girls hit the wall, some fuck the wall, and Brandon Tatum's the latter. He's exactly.
Are we talking about the wall?
Yeah.
Like
The
tiny
wall.
wall.
That was a joke. I combined two things: women aging and men being gay.
All right.
So he's out there and he's writing all this stuff. He's like
I have seen this guy.
Yep.
He's insufferable.
Yeah. He's like, like I had written something and I was like, the thing is like race matters, and ultimately I'd rather live. I don't live amongst atheist whites, actually, because even if you look at Roman and Greek societies, they were still religious. They believed in spirits. I go, I'd rather live among spiritual whites that believe in deification of some sort of moral absolutism that follows logic than I would around blacks who believe in Jesus. And I said that, meaning not just like whites who are just atheists and, do sacrifices. Like, no, people who believe in a certain God of morals and philosophy and, like Greek or Hellenistic type, ideals than I would around blacks because, I just believe in that. And it's like, well, he's like, dude, this guy's crazy. It's like, well, whites, would crucify, other whites for believing in Jesus. I'm like, yeah, man, my car got jacked and I get guns pointed in my head for just being white. Like, I'd rather like, be able to hide my beliefs if I needed to, or display them the way I'd want to, rather than just being an uncanny victim to the crime of these people. And quite frankly speaking, at the time of all this stuff happening, I think a lot of persecution of Christians, by the way, comes from what Jews were doing, because they tied in Christianity to Judaism, and the Jews were causing a lot of problems. This is a very hot take from what I've studied in history and seminary. I think the Jews did a lot of things that made a lot of people mad. And the fact that Jesus came from a Hebrew Israelite family and that they followed a Hebrew became that it was a following of Jewishness. And the same Zionists today, the same way Zionists are causing problems, they saw Christians like the Zionists today of like, these people are propping up Jews, and they actually attacked Christians out of their hatred for the way Jews were ruining their societies. Not this modern evangelical, they just hated Jesus. They hated Jesus. No. Even look at modern Muslims. This is very controversial. The reason why a lot of Muslims hate Christians today and kill a lot of Christians, they see them as propping up Judaism and Jewishness. And also, with the sacking of the temple and whatnot and moving on, a lot of Muslims see, Christianity as the moving the temple goods into the Vatican and kind of creating this further, Jewish supremacist state. Same way that the Hellenists and the pagans see us. So there's a lot of people who see this, which is why I see a lot of our Christian ancestors try to really separate ourselves from Jews. Really tried, like, no, we're not Jewish.
Oh yeah, the church fathers are very against.
Yeah, we're not Jews. But if you actually see this is something they don't teach you in school. But if you actually look at the journals and you look at letters and things that a lot of people who persecuted Christians saw, is they saw Christians and Jews in the same tent, and they actually hated Jews. And Christians were just a modern New Age Jewish cult, and they saw us as Jews as well. So if you took Jews out, I think Christians would have fared better. I think they're the most persecuted religion in the world because the devil hates Jesus. I'm not taking that away. I think the devil hates Christ, and I think that he wants. But I'm saying, so that's one. I'll just say this: that's one method he used to persecute Christians. Is he going, well, maybe Christians that might be likable, but how do we make them unlikable? Let's tie them to Jews. So let's make it a Jewish thing. So Zionists actually are persecuting our own faith. So like people like Seth Dillon and Joel Berry are persecutors of Christianity, in my opinion. They are causing Christianity to be persecuted because they're trying to tie us in with usury and pornography and stuff. And by the way, I just got involved in a crazy loan today, and I've looked at a lot of porn in my life. I fucked around a lot, done a lot of drugs. I'm not like some, holistic, epistemological triad, dyad, threesome, spiration spirit. I don't know if you know that reference.
Yeah, the spirating spirit. Yeah.
No, so I'm not some Jay Dyer or Tim Gordon. However, I do understand morality. That's kind of what I meant about the whites that believe in morality. It's like, even though I'm not some sort of evangelical perfect guy, I do follow a sense of logic and philosophy and things that I hold on to, and I can admit when I'm wrong, and I just admit I'm morally off kilter. But however, I will say it has bothered me that a lot of Christians, I think, even to this day. Think about this. If Christians came out and condemned the war in Israel, condemned universal war, condemned neoconservatism, condemned a lot of these things that are going on, the military-industrial complex, condemned, like someone pointed out the fact that funny with conservatives, how they condemned Michelle Obama for talking about how, call her socialist for saying we shouldn't be eating sugar and pizza and sodas in schools. Like, if we just came out and said, no, she's correct. We shouldn't be eating that. God, our body's a temple. And I don't care if she's a Democrat, and she's a socialist or whatever. That's a correct position to take. Imagine how much more seriously we'd be taken as Christians if we were about truth rather than lies. However, we'll talk about more of this on Locals Only. ElijahSchaefer.locals.com. You can join. Guys, when you join this, it's very important. It now pays my car payment. No, I'm kidding. That's not how this company works. But if you want to fight carjackings, join today. Grifts aside, no, it's actually really good. It's you join a membership. Someone said radio silence, guys. I was sick. I was in El Salvador and I got sick. Tim Pool's been out too. I just don't have $18 million a year budget like he does, so I can't just pay other grifters to run my show for me. I was on Tim Pool. Just a reminder, dude, over 220,000 views on that episode while he was gone, and I laid bombs on that show. It was because he wasn't on. His co-host guested. I started out the show. They're like, "You were in El Salvador." I was like, "Yeah." There's about 6 million people there. Exactly the same amount of Jews who died in the Holocaust. Exactly 6 million El Salvadorans. Not one more, not one less. And we started the show. Fantastic. Talked about everything. In terms of, by the way, El Salvador is a great topic for race realism because, again, they're not white, but they're also led by a Palestinian, and they couldn't fix themselves till a foreigner, a Semite, came in and fixed the country. It's a whole other story. But make sure you join the community. We have overtime segments all the time. When you find out that this show's going to Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern time, it's not because it's going away, it's because we're starting 2 new shows, and one's going to be on Tuesday, one's going to be on Thursday. I'd rather have a variety of lineup. I don't want to have Timcast 7 days a week. You know, I want a variety of shows. So, you know, like, oh, I like Rift. It's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. They talk about, you know, topics. We have a show Thursday, a show Tuesday. So that's going to be really good. Shout out to Joel Webbon. Shout out to Sarah Stock. Maybe you should, you know, follow them online. Before we go over, take a quick break and head over to the exclusive segment. Joel, if people want to find you and follow you, support you, how can they follow you online?
Yeah, go to Twitter, go to @RightResponseM as in ministries, @RightResponseM. And then on YouTube, just search Right Response Ministries, and you can follow the YouTube channel. We have similar schedule. It's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but we're a little bit earlier. We're at 3 p.m. Central Time. So if you're looking for a show in the afternoon, maybe something for, you know, your drive home from work, 3 p.m. Central Time, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And we live stream simultaneously both on Twitter and YouTube.
And Braden Sorbo, you know what I like? When you're on your phone on the show, like I'm on here managing the team while we're live because I don't have a producer in the studio, so I'm like texting the producers and like trying to make sure we're like going on. Are you texting your girl?
No, I'm texting Mike.
This Mike?
We're having a nice conversation.
Gay. You know, we're getting buttons actually clicked in here. If you go on Discord, you can see the studio. It looks like we're very soon, once the table's done, we're getting cough buttons and communication buttons, which are the greatest thing they had in Blaze. It's 1, 2, 3. You can like click one and just be like start whispering to each other and click buttons, and
that's cool.
You can talk into each other's headphones. And they also have a like override left, so I can click one button and it goes into everyone's left headphone.
Oh wow!
And they're still hearing the show and talking, and then I'm just going into everyone's left headphone, so I can like address them like, hey, everyone, just stop talking about this now and just be done. Those are things you do when you actually want to make serious money. But Braden Sorbo, tell us how we can date you.
Oh, you can date me by going to sorbostudios.com and buying my book to enter my raffle to go on one date with yours truly. Follow me on X @Braden Sorbo and everywhere else you find social media content.
Okay, a couple super chats that we didn't hit yet. Randall Flagg for $2.
Let's go.
So Elijah U.E. mentioned you grew up evangelical. How badly was the Scofield Bible driven to the youth? And did it start with Genesis 12:3 and get worse from there with corrupted verses? So I would say that the Scofield interpretation of eschatology was derived more or less from a good intention, a good heart. But just like in children's books of scientific origin, where they say, like, you know, you ever notice every science book for a child starts with dinosaurs lived 470 million years ago. They do that because to this is a word I invented, by the way, in science, but it's minusculize. It's not a real word, but it's to the act of making you feel infantile and small in the timeline of humanity, to make you feel stupid. You know, you're already young. 4 years is your entire lifespan. 5 years, you've lived like, you know, a few days, and then you're already getting introduced to, you know, millions of years. It destroys your concept of time and makes you more open to lies. And then you also associate science with pedigree, and then science exaggerates time. Therefore, to be smart, you must exaggerate time. And therefore, with an exaggerated time, you hold no equivocal dominance or importance. And therefore, you become subject to the people who know more than you, because there's so much to know, you couldn't know anything. And then it makes science this stupid thing where it's like, it's books upon books, and, you know, there's scientists. And then, you know, it's the same way the I don't like how the priests have the white collar, you know, that I'm better than you. It's like, I'm being honest. I don't like that was introduced, the white collar. You know, they have the white coat. There's a lot of symbolism between science and Catholicism that I don't like. But I'll be completely honest, of like, because there's a white with purity and being better, and then that whiteness is like a symbol that there's a differentiation, a separation of man from spirit and spirit from man. And
that's why women veil.
Yeah,
this is a white sign of purity.
Yeah, exactly. Put them all in burqas or niqabs. But I was gonna say, I think that they, you know, really introduce a lot of this Israel love because they want you to be a great person, but they just are retarded. Okay, can we get some music real fast and get on to Braden?
Wait, no, why?
You want some music on to Braden?
No music on to Braden.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Nobody...
Boys
Homer
and
doesn't
boys,
want to see that.
For $100. Homer J. Fuentes is in the chat. I can't even do an announcer voice. I have such a gay California voice.
You want me to?
Ladies, yeah, go ahead.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Homer J. Fuentes in the chat with a $100 donation. Total Lake worth. I don't know if we can say that on YouTube.
You can say death.
Oh, death. I don't know. Hey, man, I'm not trying to get us in trouble.
We gotta have TLWD. That's actually a good shirt.
TLWD.
TLWD shirt.
We can wear it on the show.
Do you know what Lake Worth people are? It's
guess.
Based
city,
off of the show tonight, I feel like I am.
It's a city north
I
of
feel
us.
like I'm very aware of who they are, and I must go on record saying that I do not support total Lake Worth death. The most charitable thing that I can say is that word until is doing a lot of heavy lifting. I'm really glad that word is in there. It at least softens it a little bit.
Yeah, until we get your stuff back.
That until is really carrying it.
Yeah, also we have another super chat. $5 an air horn from Cocktoe said, God bless you, Elijah. Sub to Elijah on locals for $5 a month or on Rumble. You get more with local sub though. Yeah, and then people saying like, dude, it's just come on, man. This is where it's at. Let me see if there's any and we are good. I think so. We're gonna find out if Rachel told me we're gonna find out if her husband can fly down because he's at Tim Pool's Tuesday, so he might be able to fly down.
They want to do it in the studio.
So he might be able to fly down and
That'd
do it
be
in
cool.
studio.
I'd like to meet him.
Yeah, and then if we bring the girls on remote, but like maybe for the second hour, so we do first hour guys.
You know what? Andrew Wilson's going to be upset though because
what?
I remember distinctly somebody sent me a clip from him where my name came up, and I think it was because of Hillary Crowder, and I tweeted
Shout
something.
Sav, shout Sid.
Do you remember that when I retweeted Hillary Crowder
I know.
and it blew up?
Oh, I know.
It was pretty benign, honestly. Like I didn't curse or anything like that. I just said, "How's your marriage?" Because she was, as a woman in the public square telling me what to do, and so in regards to roles of men and women, I was like, well, like it doesn't really feel like you have a leg to stand on. Anyways, so Andrew Wilson responded to that on somebody's show. And I distinctly remember my friend sent me the clip and he said, you know what? I don't really feel like Joel has anything interesting to say, but he has a great studio set. So I feel like he's going to be disappointed because the first time that we would talk together, it's not even in my set. And it seems as though he has publicly said the only interest he even has in talking to me is if it's in my studio. So Andrew Wilson, God bless you. You seem like a great guy in many regards. You will be disappointed because you're going to be talking to me and it won't even be my set.
Do you know what though? Let me tell you something about Andrew that's actually a good statement.
I like him. I think he's fine. I'm just teasing.
No. But here's the thing. So when I used to be famous or used to like have a big following, I've lost a lot. My claim to fame is that I'm resilient. I'm like a cockroach. I don't die. It's like you can't kill me. I'm like the Jews. No, but I took the Jewish model to my own life. It's like like I've always been able to make people's careers. That's why I started this thing now. It's like, even look at Sarah. She came here with nothing, and now she's somebody. She's actually more well-known than I am now in the modern world. But she came here with nothing, right? And now she's somebody. And even Jordan's coming on. It's people, like, they know that I believe in people, and as much as I'm hard to work with because I'm, erratic, somewhat schizophrenic, and also maybe retarded, there's also, like, ultimately I'm not offended by people being more famous than me. Like, I'm not trying to, at Blaze, they try to keep you down, right? They get offended when you're bigger than, like, they don't want you getting the clout, right? Even Daily Wire, same way. They don't want you getting the clout. Here, I'm like, man, if everyone was really famous, I would just be rich and wouldn't have to make shows. So we're really good. But at the same time, it's like, I feel like with Andrew, it's like, I knew Andrew when he really wasn't anybody years ago. And I actually underestimated him because I didn't realize how fucking smart and genius he was in terms of his...
Yeah, he is sharp.
He's very sharp, but also
he's really good in when it's like almost somewhat hostile. Yeah. Like he's going to word things in ways that I wouldn't. But in terms of his logic and his actual arguments, right? Aside from some of the particular rhetoric and things like that, I've seen him on the Whatever podcast
all the time. That's what made him. That's kind of launched him.
I thought so. He really he is sharp, and I want to give him credit. And I appreciate that he cares about Western civilization. He cares about white people. But he is, even though he's Eastern Orthodox, and I would have some disagreements, the fact that he does, root a lot of things in Scripture.
He's you and Andrew Wilson is if you combined you and me together with a slick back haircut.
You and me together with a slick back haircut and essential oils for men.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, hey, look, you guys are Catholic. I'm Protestant.
I'm not
Andrew's
Catholic.
Andrew's not
he's
here
not-
yet.
I'm the
Okay,
only Catholic in the
right. Well,
studio,
you're
yeah.
Catholic.
I'm
I'm
not Catholic,
Protestant.
yeah.
You're somewhere in between.
Mormon.
No, please don't.
Kai.
Make you a great neighbor, but that's about it.
Hot
But
dogs.
since you're a Catholic and I'm a Protestant and Andrew's not here yet, so I'm safe without him coming across the table. I gotta say, I do think that Eastern Orthodox is kind of like essential oils for men. I think that it's, I won't say who I got this from because I don't want to get him into trouble, but it's not mine. I got to give credit. It's the Mr. Miyagi complex, right? Karate Kid, you've got a little white boy, right? He's deracinated like a lot of kids.
Stop here.
Gotta do
cut
it.
the locals.
No.
We gotta go local. We gotta go locals.
Okay, all right.
It's 9:30.
You want to hear my spiel
Yeah,
about
leave it on
Eastern
local.
Orthodoxy?
It's 9:30.
I'll
We
save
gotta
it.
go
I'll
because we're
save
gonna
it.
be in. All right, we'll see you there in 2 minutes. We're gonna come back to Miss Miyagi, Eastern Orthodox. I wasn't trying to cut you off in any rude way. We'll see you there because I have some good things to say about Andrew Wilson.
Elijah's like, it's good and you got to pay for it.
Yeah, you got to go there. Go to LightSaverTheLocals.com. I'll see you there in just a moment.